Billy, you ready? We're going to start this on time today.
Important person.
We're going to run through this meeting today. Gotta catch a flight.
You got 2 minutes.
Good morning, Madam City Attorney. How are you?
I have to catch a World Cup game match.
What time?
2.
Oh, no, I got to get out of here by 12. Go, vamos a correr hoy.
Recording in progress.
Cuban
Yeah. Who plays today? You ready? Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tuesday, December 13th City Hall Commission meeting. We have a nice agenda today, and I'd like to make sure that we always reiterate that everyone is welcome to speak. Either you can speak in person, you can speak via Zoom. We make it as simple as possible, and we want everyone to engage and provide us with their guidance and their input in regards to what they'd like to see in their city beautiful. I'd like to start off this morning by calling Father Ismael Calderon, the latest and greatest pastor from St. Mark's Lutheran Church. Father Calderon, good morning and welcome to the City Beautiful, to the City Commission for the first time. Thank you for being here today, and we hope to see you return as many times after today.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todos. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is my privilege to be here today. I am the new pastor at St. Mark's Lutheran Church, and I just want to let you know for now that I'm your ally. I'm here to work with you and for anything you need me for. Actually, before God called me to be with you guys, I've been working for the Colombian government. So I know the ministry, the service, and the care you are providing to the community, so thank you so much for that. Okay, so let's start with a short prayer today. The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Let us pray. Holy gracious God, today we give you thanks for your presence here with us. We ask you for your wisdom, your care, and love to make decisions that benefit our communities, not just ourselves, our communities. We ask you, Lord, to be with us. Help us to understand each other and to listen to each other. We are humans, but still the children of God. And finally, we ask you to be with us in those moments where we know there are so many challenges. But with you, there's no challenge because you provide the strength, the grace, and also the love we need to give to each other to continue doing your mission on earth. We say all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Father, we'd like to extend to you, to your congregation, all the worshipers in your city and in our city, thanks for being here, and we look forward to hosting you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, God bless, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bendiciones.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, would you give us and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we move on to the presentation and protocol items. Item A1, presentation and resolution of condolences to the family of Felipe Valls Sr. Are they here? Is the Valls family here? Well, we'll move on and we'll come back to that one. Item A2, congratulations to the Globe on receiving the Keep Coral Gables Beautiful 2022 Commercial Beautification Award. Matt, welcome. Solange.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. So we are here today to present our fourth and final award for the Keep Coral Gables Commercial Beautification Awards. So we are here to recognize the Globe. Solange is bringing up and sharing the screen. So again, we're here to recognize the Globe, located at 371 Alhambra Circle. And proud to continue to recognize our local businesses for the amazing work they're doing within our community and fitting with helping beautify our downtown. So I just wanted to mention that, again, we're here to recognize them, and I'll turn it over to Solange and to Belkis. I know that the owner Mr. Daniel Gutierrez was not able to join us today, but I think Belkis will be accepting on their behalf.
Yeah, so he wasn't able to, Danny Gutierrez wasn't able to come, but we accepted on his behalf. We will be providing this to him. As you can see from the pictures, he's maintained a very clean and aesthetic look. I will say that he has also put a lot of lights for the holidays, so it looks really nice at night also. So we want to thank him for that as well.
If I may add just something, because I drive, obviously we all drive through this area every single day. They've really taken to heart the sidewalks and the facade cleaning, and I want to commend them on that. I want to remind all businesses that every 6 months you have to pressure clean your sidewalks, and there's a significant difference throughout the city, as you can tell. You look at areas that have not been cleaned, that are still not in compliance, which are minimal, so a handful of them, and our code enforcement job under our code enforcement department under Surami Cabrera has done a great job, and also Mark Trowbridge, who just showed up, educating the businesses the importance of cleaning the sidewalks. So I just want to commend them for taking it so seriously, because again, it's a reflection on who we are as a city, and I want to thank them for that. So thank you, Belkis.
We will let him know.
Thank you. No, just congratulate them. I appreciate it.
Would you like to say anything about that?
Dr. Trowbridge, good morning.
Hi. Apologies for my tardiness.
Oh, you're always, enter gracefully, you're fine.
No, we just love this program. We love being invited to participate in it. And, you know, I think it's wonderful when the city, the chamber, and our partners can come together and find ways to incentivize and recognize, of course, our businesses. We're doing that right now for the holidays, and I'm sure Belkis has already talked to you a little bit about that, but the Windows program for the holidays, which get to be one of the judges for. So look forward to announcing those in the next couple of weeks as well. Thank you to our businesses for working so closely with us.
Thank you, Mark.
And since this is the last 2022 Commercial Beautification Award winner, we wanted to take this opportunity to just give you a peek at how this program is going to work in 2023. We will be having our code enforcement, economic development, and board members and the chamber, of course, once again nominate different businesses in the months of March and April. And we will then have our Sustainability Advisory Board, who acts as our Keep Coral Gables Beautiful Board, do the judging in either May or June, and we'll start presenting the 2023 winners to you in August. This year for 2023, we will also be accepting community nominations. We'll have a form that we'll put up on our Keep Coral Gables Beautiful page on the website as we get closer to the nomination period. It'll be a quick form so that members of the community can nominate their favorite restaurants and those businesses, retail or otherwise, that they think are going above and beyond in beautifying their community. So we'll have more information about that in 2023.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great work as always. Moving on to item A3, congratulations to firefighter Joel Obregon, recipient of the City of Coral Gables Firefighter of the Month Award for the month of December 2022. Chief, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. With us today, we have our firefighter of the month. Joel Obregon was recognized by our vehicle extrication team for his logistical support to the team and to their competition. They recently competed at Miami-Dade Fire Headquarters, their training center. They competed this year. The competition expanded to even international. We had teams from Ireland, the UK, and Canada as well. Our folks did very well. They ended up number 3 overall in a very tight slate of competition. So for his logistical support to the team, he was recognized by his team members, and he's our firefighter of the month, Mr. Joel Obregon.
Sir, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. Good morning. Thank you for the team. Thank you for the admin and the firefighters, my fellow firefighters that I work with. It's an honor to be receiving this. Thank you.
Chief, I also just, while you guys are here, and I know we have police coming up next, but I just wanted to say that everybody that worked this weekend on the parade and everything, you guys really did a fantastic job. It was very safe, almost too safe. I couldn't get it to City Hall on the way, but no, kidding aside, it was fantastic. Everybody had a great time. We had people out, on the street, really enjoying downtown Coral Gables in a really safe and very, quaint hometown kind of feel to it, and obviously everything you guys do in the background, in addition to Parks and Rec and everybody else that worked on it, and the people who organized the event, obviously. But obviously, everything you guys did was critical to that being a success. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And this weekend is Santa around town, so please
Yes.
look out for Santa.
We will be.
I love it. Let's take a quick photo. Sure.
Might be, I don't know.
The Vols family is here. Good morning. Good morning. So I'm going to jump back to item A1. Please join us. Please come on. Today I'm particularly honored to pay tribute to a great man, Felipe Valls Sr., who recently passed away. Felipe was a longtime Coral Gables resident. His story is an only in America story that a refugee who came with his wife and children fleeing communism would become one of the most successful restaurant entrepreneurs in South Florida. After graduating from Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville, Georgia, he returned to his hometown Santiago, Cuba, to begin his journey as an entrepreneur, owning several successful businesses, including gas stations, a restaurant, and the popular Lido Supper Club. Like many in our community, with the rise of communism, his businesses were expropriated. He fled the totalitarian Castro regime with his 7-month pregnant wife and 2 young children. Like many early exiles, he began working at whatever he could to support his family, selling used restaurant equipment. Because of his hard work and perseverance, he was able to open his first business, Versailles Restaurant, as a small coffee shop in 1971. Later opening La Carreta, which today is a chain of restaurants, and other successful endeavors such as Casa Juancho, Mesa Mar, right here in the City Beautiful. Today, Val's Enterprises not only runs these and other restaurants, but they support our local economy, employing more than 2,000 people. He was also the father of the Ventanita concept. He was a local business leader, supporting many local causes, and never forgot his beloved homeland of Cuba. He was a member of the Cuban American National Foundation, the Cuban Liberty Council, and the U.S. Democracy Pact. He received numerous awards and accolades throughout his life. While his achievements are many, what truly impressed me was that not only that he established and grew his business, but that he did so together with his family. Today, his children and 3 of his granddaughters continue the family tradition running Val's Enterprises. Felipe was a big man with an even bigger heart, and I'm fortunate to have known him. This community is a better place because of him. So I'm going to tell you a little quick story about Felipe Valls. larger than life personality, and I'll be very brief because I want the family to talk a little bit about this individual. And I regret I've given out 2 keys since I've been elected a year and a half, because I think that this should be cherished. It should be given to people who have done and have gone above and beyond. My father was very close to Felipe Valls. My father's a physician, as many of you know, and very involved in La Causa Cubana, Cuban cause for liberty, human rights. Felipe was not only a visionary and not only an incredible businessman and a family man, but he had a reputation of never saying no. When you called him for something, and many of you don't know, but he served you. He served you when we bought paellas, or when we had a crisis and we needed $500 or $1,000, or we wanted to serve during COVID. He would call me and say, Vince, what do you need? Well, how can I help you? What can we do to honor the police and firefighters who he loved beyond measure? Beyond measure. His generosity, his philanthropic generosity, his leadership, untouchable. He was a class act, a patriot, an American patriot who put this country above everything, above his own family, above his own Cuba, above his own businesses. So I just want to take this opportunity to honor. We have a small certificate of condolences, but I want to honor your family, a long time coming, with a key to the city.
Wow, thank you.
Because to have known him, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from him, and we continue to learn a lot from him and from your family.
Thank you so much.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. As you said, my grandfather has been a longtime resident of the Gables, moved here as soon as was feasible for him, 1982, has lived here since. Not only a resident, but a business owner in the Gables. He loved this city, wanted all of us to move here, which we're working on. And it's been so incredible. Obviously, these have been really tough days, but to see the outpouring of love from the community, from employees, from friends. He had this whole other life that we did not know about, of just constantly giving to any single person that asked, whether it was like, pay for my family's funeral, or man, I can't afford to put a down payment on a house. And he always came through and helped in any way he could. So I know that he'd be very, very honored to know that you guys are remembering him here today on the floor. Thank you so much. I don't know if Nicole has any words she would like to add. Okay. Okay.
Mayor.
Thank you so much.
I just want to add, I had the honor of serving with Felipe with the Cuban American National Foundation some years ago. And what always caught my attention was whenever, like the mayor so eloquently said, whenever something was needed, so everybody would say, call Felipe. Because like the mayor said, he would never say no, but he did it without the politics. He did it person to person, heart to heart, soul to soul. And that caught my attention because I just got involved in that movement for freedom in Cuba, and he led by example. But then I'll give you a quick little story on a personal level. September 2017, we had a hurricane come through Miami, and pretty much everything was closed up. That was the day of my daughter's 16th birthday. So we had cousins and everything. We didn't know what to do. We go, let's go to Versailles. So they gave us a long table in the back, and while we're celebrating my daughter's Lydia's birthday, Felipe is having lunch a few tables away. He comes up to greet the family and wish my daughter personally a happy birthday. I tried to get up, obviously, to receive him, but he put his hand on my shoulder and would not let me get up. He just, you're the dad, I'm here. Even that little detail, that courtesy, that kind of, I don't know what you describe as humanity. So I'll always remember the big things he did, but it's those little things that really, really make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I just add, that you did a wonderful job of obviously explaining the amazing, incredible things he did. And, I think a lot of people can open up a Cuban restaurant and serve arroz and bistec empanizado, and there's millions of Cuban restaurants all over Miami and so on. So, but there's only one place where when something happens, you go to Versailles. It doesn't just have to be, obviously with Cuban American issues, Fidel Castro, that stuff, but when the Miami Heat win a championship or whatever it is, people go to Versailles. And that says a lot about, what he created, the legacy he created. It's a cultural icon in the city. How many times do people come into town that haven't been here and they say, hey, is there a Cuban restaurant? Well, you got to go to Versailles.
Tourist destination. Literally, it's crazy.
And that's incredible because, again, lots of people open restaurants and it's a tough industry to be in. And to have not only been successful on the restaurant side of it, but to have created something like that, in addition to all the amazing things that the mayor, covered, I think it really states a lot about his legacy and everything that he did. So,
Thank you.
In closing, unless Commissioner Anderson wants to say something.
I mean, his generosity was not unnoticed too when, trial team for Posada moved forward, which I was a part of, and it was very much appreciated, the support that was given all the time. And, the Americanos like the Versailles as well. The best Cuban food you can go to, so we do frequent.
Thank you, Commissioner. In closing, everybody talks about the big accomplishments, the restaurants, the huge philanthropic endeavors, the brand, the international brand. That when you drive by 8th Street on a Tuesday at 9:30, there's 75 people from all over the planet coming to eat at Versailles. Everybody looks different. The diversity is incredible. It's no longer just a little Cuban restaurant serving arroz and platanitos. What I remember the most is never saying no. To whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:46. That embodies who Felipe Valls was. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item A4, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Congratulations to Communications Supervisor Claudia Sacheo, recipient of the City of Coral Gables Operator of the Third Quarter Award for the months of July through September 2022. Chief, good morning. We're blessed to have you here.
Morning, Commission. How are you?
Morning.
As Chief Hudak and I always said, this is one of our proudest moments to identify, to honor some of the members of the work that our communication operators, the police, and everybody. This is a great time because they do a lot of work every day. As you talked about the parade, it was an amazing job what everybody did. But I like to honor Claudia today as the operator of the quarter. On Friday, July 1st, probably about 1 o'clock, Claudia works in the communications section, and they had a complete failure of the 911 system and the network in the call center. Basically, what communication supervisor Zacchio did, she mobilized all the trainees, she directed them to print out the cards, the CAD, she coordinated all the aspects with Miami-Dade County to make sure that there was never a missed call to 911. She was instrumental in delegating, coordinating, and assigning all these responsibilities very calmly, which, as you can imagine, that causes a huge crisis when the technology is not working and we worry about the citizens of Coral Gables. But due to her efforts, she was able to get this back online and continue the operation in a very professional manner. In addition, there was a trainee, and we all remember the unfortunate incident back in July with a gentleman who was shot during a robbery and died. Claudia was There was a trainee that was on the dispatch at the time. Claudia got her headset plugged in, helped with as you can imagine, you had two major scenes, one where the incident first happened, and then a pursuit that occurred, eventually where the subjects bailed out, having to set up a perimeter. Her calm professionalism and everything that she provided made that a successful conclusion. And I can tell you from a police perspective, that is an extremely tough job, being a communications operator. I remember when I first started in police work and they used to take you over there, and I said, that's a job I could never do. But they hear it. A lot of times they don't know the outcome, but they do their job very professionally, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do our jobs. So congratulations very much. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I want to say thank you to the commission. I want to say thank you to senior staff for coming. My senior staff from the fire department. Thank you, everybody here. My friends from the fire department. I have so many friends standing behind me. Of course, my family. Thank you to my supervisors, Lieutenant Boblitz, my manager, Amy Diaz, nominating me for this wonderful award. And I would also like to say thank you to all the operators that actually played an incredible part on this day when we lost everything, computers, phones, everything, except the electricity. We didn't lose that. But it was a real group effort, and I want to thank my coworkers that are back at the station and are not able to be here. And my trainees, also, they were not trained on what to do, and no matter what I did and what I told them to do, they did it, and it worked out. So thank you for this wonderful award. Thank you for having me.
Well deserved. Thank you.
Yes, I won't. Yeah.
Despacito, Clarita, despacito. Yeah, awesome. 1, 2. Awesome. Congratulations. It's awesome.
This one, right? He's good? All right. Moving on to item A5, congratulations to Officer Nelson Rodriguez, recipient of City Coral Gables Officer of the Month for the month of September 2022.
Again, I think this incident really lets you know that you never know what to expect out there as far as policing. Officer Nelson Rodriguez was part of a DUI checkpoint that was hosted by our agency. And as they were out there, he's one of the line officers as the cars come up. As he was completing his duties, he observed a black sedan with dark tints pull up through the chute. He was paying close attention because the subjects in the back were moving around and they were trying to be evasive and trying to conceal themselves. As he started to go over to the car, he gave them loud commands for the driver to lower all the windows. As he was doing this, Officer Rodriguez saw the handle of an unknown firearm being placed under the seat by the backseat passenger. He immediately alerted by yelling "gun, gun" to all the officers there to let them know that this was what was happening. He was then able to take the subject out of the car and place him into custody. It turned out the subject was a convicted felon and should never have had a firearm to begin with. But as you know, he's doing one thing, and to be able to react instantaneous, that now all of a sudden you have somebody with a firearm is just an incredible shock to the system. But he did a phenomenal job, and thank God for the work he did, because he took a dangerous subject off the road. For that, he's Officer of the Month. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I don't have much to say, but I want to thank the council and obviously my motor unit, which we have the greatest camaraderie in the Coral Gables. The staff here, I appreciate this. This is not something that we do for the trophy. We do this every day to keep the city beautiful. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Great work.
Thank you.
That was impressive.
Sir. 1, 2. Here we go. Congratulations.
Moving on to the approval of the minutes, B1, regular city commission meeting from October 25th, 2022.
I'll move it.
Second. Wait, sorry.
Moving in the minutes.
Not consent.
Yeah.
Right. Moving, yeah.
Hey, careful
No,
what you're.
just making- yeah.
We trust you, Ron.
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
B2, regular city commission meetings, November 9th, 2022.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to public comment.
There's no one for public comments today, Mr. Mayor.
All righty, perfect. Then we will close the public comment. Is there a public comment?
No, sir.
No, sir? Okay. Just want to make sure we get everybody in. Mayor's comments. A few things I'd like to mention today. And I ask you to please bear with me. First off, I'd like to recognize Cristina Jimenez, who was my CEO at Coral Gables Hospital, who I had the privilege of serving on that board for the last few years. And she passed away about 2 weeks ago. She was an incredible woman, and I'd like to have a moment of silence to recognize her life and her dedication to this community. Thank you very much. Moving on to another item, I'd like to recognize my colleagues on the commission. We came up with an idea to celebrate the World Cup. It happens every 4 years. The manager ran with it, along with Fred, Mark Trowbridge, our team. We're putting together a beautiful event this Sunday, December 18th, at the Coral Gables Youth Center, starting at 9:30 to 12. We're going to have some food trucks that we're going to invite, and it's a family fun event. I ask everybody to please put it on your social media. I'm asking Mr. Manager for our team here at the city to put it on social media, maybe send out a special email to all the residents. This is about family fun. Come out, enjoy the World Cup. It's going to be at the Youth Center. We're going to have a big screen. The commissioners are paying for it, and it's an opportunity to just go out there, enjoy the finals of the World Cup, be amongst family and friends, and celebrate the fact that in a few years, we'll be having this here in the United States. So it's a big deal, and again, anything we can build around soccer. My 2 daughters play soccer. They love it, and they're looking forward to Sunday. I think they're looking forward to today's games today also. I also want to recognize the commission, Kirk Menendez, Commissioner Anderson, the Vice Mayor. We listened the other day in regards to Burger Bob's. We attended the Burger Bob's symposium to talk about the interiors. One of the items that kept coming up was expediting the process. So we're moving forward as we're also doing the golf shop next door with a contractor that has already been procured through the process. Mr. Manager, would you be so kind to proceed and consider a bid waiver so we can hire the same contractor to do the entire project, save us money on general conditions, and save us time so we can push forward on Burger Bob's and get it online as quickly as possible.
Yes, Mayor, happy to do so.
Thank you, Commissioner Menendez. I appreciate your efforts on that, okay? I think that's all I have.
May I say something very briefly?
Of course. This is everyone's
I
time.
don't know if you're planning on saying it later, but no, I wanted, since it's on the topic of mayor's comments, I wanted to congratulate you on your mayor's ball that you had this last weekend. It was a first-class event all the way. It really shined an incredible light on the city in a really positive way. I think we had people from all over South Florida, elected officials, people in various industries, and everybody was, I think, blown away by the caliber of event that it was. And, I think more importantly, you did it and you raised a lot of money for incredible causes.
6 figures.
Yeah, La Liga contra el Cancer and also the Coral Gables Community Foundation. So, again, kudos to you. The city hasn't had one of these before. It was your idea. You brought it. You not only made it happen, but you made it happen in a way that really made a statement. And I think that in years to come, that's going to be a must-attend event. It already was this weekend. It was a packed house, and I think that it's now something that everybody's going to be putting on their calendar in years going forward. So congratulations to you, because really, I had people coming up to me at the event and saying, "This is a great idea. Congratulations." I said, I had absolutely nothing to do with it. You all credit to the mayor and the mayor's office and his staff and everybody that put it together, because they did to say they did a good job is a vast understatement. It was the nicest gala or event of that nature that I have ever been to in my life, times 2. It was over the top nice, and I really give you a lot of credit for that.
Thank you. You know what I really...
It was also a great opportunity to showcase, the Lowe's.
Yeah.
They did an excellent job.
It's interesting because we could have sold 1,400 tickets. We just kept getting calls. We sold out 3 weeks before. The venue was incredible. Lowe's is incredible. The sponsors were very generous. I want to thank my commissioners for being there. The commissioners of the county, we had incredible county support. Mark Trowbridge and his team were there, the Coral Gables Community Foundation. The businesses really came out. A lot of residents came out in support. We showcased what the city's doing. We really helped out 2 charities. And we'll do it again next year. And, I'm already getting calls for tickets and for table sales for next year. So it's all about showcasing the city. And I want to thank my team, Chelsea, Gabby, Manny Alfonso, Pepe Dance from Wild Productions. Those guys hit it out of the park.
Yeah,
they hit it out of the park, and I can't thank them enough. It was a true winter wonderland. So thank you for that, Vice Mayor. I think that's pretty much. Oh, I have one request. I already made the request to the manager. We used to put up a little dreidel on Miracle Mile. It was a nice little lit dreidel, and I think it was a cross also that was there. I would like to put that up again this year. I think it's something that's very nice, very tasteful. I think it celebrates our diversity. It celebrates the reason for the season, in my opinion. So I asked the manager if you'd be, to do that. He said, obviously he would. I just want to be very clear and transparent on that. I would like to continue that tradition.
Absolutely.
I also want to commend our staff for doing an incredible job on picking up the ball in regards to the lighting. They're doing the best they can. They're really pushing forward on lighting. The new Christmas tree looks incredible. We had thousands of people at the Christmas tree lighting, more than I've ever seen. People are excited. They're excited to share, and find out and talk a little bit about what Coral Gables is doing. And we welcome everyone to join us. So thank you for that. Moving on to consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to pull E4 just for comment.
Done. Anyone else?
I'll move it.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
E4?
Yeah, E4 is relating to the Burgerlicious event, and Mark Trowbridge wanted to say a few words about it.
Let's do it.
Good morning again. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, for doing that. Commissioners, Mr. Mayor, just a point of personal privilege. Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you on Saturday evening. I get invited, as you might imagine, to a lot of galas in town. And first of all, I was awake past 11:45 p.m., which is highly unusual. But what a first-class event, just wonderful energy. And I agree with Commissioner Anderson at the opportunity to really showcase the Lowe's. They've only been open 4 or 5 weeks, And this was an absolute smash hit for them. I think they're still talking about it. I was there yesterday for a meeting, so I've never seen centerpieces that large. And I can't imagine. My mother typically would take the centerpiece home after an event. I don't think I could help her lift it at this point. So I'm joined today by Angeline Antoine, who's our new director of events at the Chamber of Commerce, and is going to be producing our Burgerlicious event along with our entire team. As many of you know, we have moved that event officially to February. Part of it was that last year, when we were bringing the event back for year 10, we were dealing with the Omicron virus in November. And so we said, let's move it to February when we have maybe a little bit more of an opportunity to gather as a large group. And our restaurants absolutely loved it. The weather was spectacular. Our sponsors were very pleased. And I think most of you know that we have moved the event to in front of our home on Alhambra Circle. And so that will be the case again this year, year 11. The date is February the 9th. I really appreciate the great work that our Parks Department does in working with us through the special event permit. They gave us some great feedback in the fact that our new venue needed some additional work, so it will be expanded the entire street there from Ponce de Leon to Salcedo, so that we have an opportunity to really activate that space.
Can I add something to that, if I may?
Yes.
I'm sorry. That was our discussion last year. Thank God you're doing that.
Yes.
Much needed. And I need to know whatever else that you need from us and from the manager, please tell us, because this community needs this event to be successful because it's a big draw. And it's, again, another, I know I mentioned it before, it's all about families. It's all about having a great time.
Yeah.
So this is the type of event that if you need something, please tell us, because we noticed last year that you needed to have that extra room.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, I think two things created that opportunity. I think one, obviously, being in a new venue after 9 years, leaving the park and moving there in front of our offices at 201 Alhambra, really a block party. And then I think, secondly, the desire that people had to really gather. It had been quite some time, not only for us, but for events in the city in general. And when you think about that corridor, it's a great opportunity to really activate with business, because that's what's all along that entire block. You have large office towers, many of which are even more full now than they were a year ago. And when they start seeing the setup, and then right around 4:30, 5 o'clock, they start smelling really delicious burgers, which really showcase our restaurants well, as you might imagine. It brings a great crowd. So Angeline and our entire team will be working to put that together. I want to thank our great partners at Bean Automotive and our other sponsors, but especially the city. We could not do it, Mr. Manager and leaders, without your great work and your collaboration with us. We've already been, as you know, before the Special Events Committee, which is the item that's before you today, to allow us to sell alcohol for that event. It's just one night only on that February the 9th. The proceeds from that event help support our Welcome Center, which is the official Welcome Center for the city of Coral Gables. And as many of you know, we've continued to activate that, doing architecture tours, and just did this summer a historic tour back at the Biltmore. I'm really glad to be invited back there to do that. So all of that helps match some of the county funds that we get that support our Welcome Center. So we appreciate your support. I suggest that you start, right after the holidays, moving toward, light meals so that you're ready to go. If any of you are interested in judging, let me or Angeline know. It is hard work, I promise you. It isn't just a little nibble and go. It's really hard to put that slider down, but we always have great live music. And again, I think that location really has done well. One, it further activates our space and Welcome Center there on Alhambra, but also is really right in the middle of the business corridor. So it really has minimal impact on A, other businesses, and B, our residents, even though we, finish at a reasonable hour. So we always, as always, appreciate your support.
All right.
Okay,
Mark, thank you
one
for everything.
other quick comment, and it has nothing to do with Burgerlicious.
Sure.
But it sort of does. I had the opportunity to ride one of the floats during a parade, and I noticed that we need to do a little something to protect our new plantings in the medians. So I know Alhambra is not as vulnerable with the plantings as other places, but maybe just a little chain or barricade might be helpful.
We can link arms.
They were
Actually suggested that it was possible that all of those ended up in the mayor's centerpieces, but No, they were still there, so.
Yeah, they were still there, yeah. It's just a suggestion, because some folks found the meeting a great place to stand during the parade.
All right, thank you, Mark, I appreciate
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a
Thank you,
pleasure.
sir. Can we get a motion on item E4?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Moving on to items on second reading, F1.
Yes, Mayor. Item F1, if I can get there, is an ordinance of the City Commission amending Chapter 78 Utilities, Article 1 in general, Section 78-1 Utility Easements, and Article 6 Underground Utilities, Section 78-280 through 78-282 of the Code of Ordinances by requiring attaching utilities to underground and remove co-located facilities, requiring pole owners to remove redundant utility poles, providing for procedure related to major hardening projects, and requiring property owners to cooperate and fully comply with access to utility easements, access to property, and location of facilities, providing for repeal of provisions, severability clause, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing item. Ms. Levy Garcia.
Good morning, Naomi Levy Garcia, Assistant City Attorney, Intergovernmental Affairs Manager. We do have a couple changes between first and second reading. A provision was added to exempt the city from this particular article. A provision was also added to clarify that the installation of above-ground facilities, such as pad-mounted transformers, can be solely subject to administrative approval, provided certain criteria are met. Those are the only changes between first and second. I'm happy to take any questions.
Perfect. Makes sense. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
No one
Vice
wishes
Mayor?
to speak, Mr. Clerk, for the record?
No, ma'am. Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you.
Moving on to F2.
F2 is an ordinance of the City Commission creating Section 4241 smoking in parks, prohibiting smoking in all parks operated by the city, providing for repeal of provisions, severability clause codification, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing item.
Mayor, Commissioners, Assistant City Attorney Stephanie Throckmorton. This is an item on second reading sponsored by the mayor. There have been no changes since first reading.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Moving on to F3.
Thank you.
F3 is an ordinance of the City
Thank you.
Commission
Great work.
authorizing the city to enter into a second amendment to the second amended and restated master lease agreement for the property commonly known as the Village of Merrick Park with Merrick Park LLC, Rouse Core Gables LLC, amending Section 3.1 relating to parking and improving the general terms of a corresponding license agreement for certain parking uses, providing for repeal of provisions, severability clause, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing item. Ms. Sardinias.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioner. Zeta Sardinas, Asset Manager. The only significant change between first and second reading is that we made changes to the language to ensure that the fee per space will be negotiated by the tenant at no less than 100% and no greater than 150% of the city's parking rate at the time the license agreement is entered into, with provisions for CPI increases.
Perfect. I'll entertain a motion.
No public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll move it.
Second. Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Thank you,
Thank you.
Zeta. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for your work. Moving on to F4.
F4 is an ordinance of the City Commission amending the City of Coral Gables zoning code, Article 6, Landscape, Section 6-104, Landscape Requirements for Public Rights-of-Way, to amend planting heights and various other provisions, providing for repeal of provisions, severability clause codification, providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing item.
Ms. Cabrera, have there been any changes?
Actually, yes. When it went back to planning and zoning, they had a lot of back and forth about exactly how this would affect the look of our right-of-ways. But eventually, with a change of, I think there was a minimum height that they wanted for the trees, that with that amendment, we were able to get a favorable recommendation on this one.
Perfect.
So the ordinance as drafted didn't make that change in particular. That was a suggestion from the Planning and Zoning Board. As written, the ordinance provides that the trees would meet all life safety requirements. It's not so specific about the 8 feet. The ordinance is written. But that would address that 8-foot issue. As written, it says life safety concerns would be addressed.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we plan on, of course, having all life safety issues such as minimum clearances above sidewalks, offset site distance requirements, and all these issues will be reviewed prior to doing any of this work, just like we do on all the work that we do.
All right, I discussed with staff the particulars of this. We are blessed. We have such a wonderful staff in the landscape architect division, they review every planting that's going to go in for height requirements. This ordinance was really bred out of the need to be able to put in smaller specimen trees under power lines in tight conditions where you have tight root ball spaces because of the utility areas. And it makes no sense to be buying a full mature tree to put in on a space that, it's never going to be able to, root properly, and it won't grow that much more. So it'll save the city money on one hand, and on the other hand, it's the appropriate thing to do. It also reduces the number of palms that can be used on planting locations down to 25%. So unless you all have some additional discussion you want to have?
I love it.
I'll move it. You move it? Go ahead.
Mr. Clerk?
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to ordinances on first reading, F5.
Yes, Mayor, F5 is an ordinance of the City Commission dissolving the Business Improvement District of Coral Gables as a special district, providing for repeal of provisions, severability clause, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing item.
Do we have any public comment, Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
Mayor, as I had explained, this is simply part of the process of dissolving. You're going to see this on second reading and another resolution in January, and then we should be done.
I entertain a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to F6, Commissioner Anderson's item.
An ordinance of the City Commission providing for a text amendment to the City of Coral Gables official zoning code by amending Article 15 notices to require online publication of historical determination letters, and Article 8 historic preservation, revising the process for historical determination letters, providing for a severability clause, repeal the provision, codification, providing for an effective date.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Assistant City Attorney Gus Ceballos. So this ordinance is pretty brief, but it does a couple of things. So one of the things that it's going to require is historical determination letters currently only get provided to the property owner requesting the determination. Now they're going to be posted online on a weekly basis whenever they get issued. Why is that being done? So currently our code treats appeals. The only way you can appeal something is if you are an aggrieved party. Our code defines aggrieved party as somebody who receives notice. So if you never receive notice, you can never technically appeal most things. So what happens? These determination letters get drafted, they get issued. 6 months down the line, somebody finds out about the determination letter and they disagree. They don't really have an appeal function. So what happens is a new designation request gets submitted, which causes a couple of different issues because you as a property owner, you receive your termination letter, you would think there's some level of finality to that document, and there isn't. You could then have your property designated by another individual 6 months down the line.
Makes sense.
So this basically says every time a determination letter is drafted, it will be posted online so the entire citywide receives notice. There is a 10-day appeal period which somebody can submit an appeal request. And within those after those 10 days, you have 21 days as you as an appellant to complete a full report to then proceed to take that to the designation report. This provides some level of finality so the property owners aren't, open-ended and could be 6 months down the line and somebody's trying to designate your property after our staff has already determined that it doesn't meet the eligibility criteria. So that is.
Any further comments?
I did this for two reasons. One, staff is being overburdened with FOIA requests for records. And as discussed with Mr. Adams, we would upload on a weekly basis the determination letter with a link to the documentation. So all the records that were used to support the determination letter are there. So that's the only tweak that I'd ask, that you indicate that the link to the records would be included. And then we won't have these appeals and applications, I should say, coming in a year or 2, 3 down the line after a determination letter has been issued.
Perfect. I entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second. Mr. Clerk?
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Moving on to F7.
F7 is an ordinance to the City Commission providing for a text amendment to the City of Coral Gables official zoning code by amending Article 15 notices to include mail notice to all properties within the applicable mailing distance, providing for a severability clause, repeal the provision, codification, and providing for an effective date.
Good morning again. So this notice provision just makes one quick change, one line that's added to the code. Anytime a required mail notice is being sent out, if on the Miami-Dade County property appraisers there is a different address for the property and the mailing address, notice will be sent to both addresses.
Another again, another step in transparency, another step in ensuring that everyone is heard. So I think it's a great piece of legislation. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson.
You're very welcome, and, you know, you led the way with transparency. I noticed this gap. I was a business owner at one time, and I had the courtesy of a good business owner that gave me ample notice, and I was able to do that type of thinking that businesses need to do as to whether I need to downsize, merge with somebody, whether buy a new place. And you know, I think this accomplishes that purpose.
Yes, it does.
So I'll move it if you have no comments, folks.
Second.
We do have comments. Mr. Mark Trowbridge.
Oh, thank you.
Come on in.
Morning again, leaders. Mark Trowbridge with our Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce, 201 Alhambra here in the City Beautiful. We rise in support of this ordinance, and again to each and every one of you, this concept and very important idea of transparency. We agree with Commissioner Anderson. I want to really thank her for reaching out to me and allowed us an opportunity to reach out to our leadership and get their feedback, which was in full support. And we want to continue to work with you collaboratively on opportunities like this that not only increase transparency, but especially, I think about on the special event side, we have to give notice for something that's going to last a few minutes, when in this case, you know, something that could last for years and years to come. So thank you very much, and we give our support to this ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
I think we had motion and second. Yes. Okay.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Moving on to resolutions. F8.
F8 is a resolution of City Commission amending Resolution Number 2019-338, which approved a mixed-use site plan for the project known as ZOM Coral Gables, located at 363 Granello Avenue and 300 Greco Avenue, Coral Gables, Florida, providing for amended conditions of approval to allow for certain undergrounding of utilities to be completed after the issuance of a certificate of occupancy as provided in the escrow agreement. This is a public hearing item. Anyone that's going to be testifying needs to be sworn in, Mr. Clerk.
Those who will be speaking on this item, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, here on behalf of ZOM Florida, we've been working on the 363 Granello project. We're happy to report that project's close to completion. We've completed all of the public right-of-way improvements that were required due to the hurricane on the West Coast that occurred. There are 2 utility poles that FPL has not been able to take down yet. We anticipate they'll be taking them down in the next 3 months. However, that's past our TCO date. So what we like to do is to enter into an escrow agreement with the city to put the money for this work in escrow so that when FPL is ready, we could go ahead and release those funds. And that way we could open the project and get this important project going.
I think it's more than fair.
Absolutely.
Mr. Manager, you okay with it?
We have no issues
pretty
because of the type
standard.
of project and the fact that there's an escrow amount and they've already dealt with FPNO.
And what makes me feel good not only is the escrow amount, but also that all the right-of-way improvements have been completed, so it's not an issue. With that, I'll entertain a motion. If there's
I move it.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great morning.
I'll be moving on to city commission items. We have 5 minutes before we go to our 10 o'clock time certain, so I want to make sure we try to get through them as quickly as possible. G1, Commissioner Anderson.
Just an update from staff where we're on timing and planning for the meeting in January regarding the bicycle infrastructure plan and the street improvements on Biltmore Way.
Good morning, Melissa Desai, Senior Transportation Engineer. So we have the meeting for Biltmore Way scheduled for January 19th. It will be held at the First United Methodist Church next door. The times will be from 6:30 to 8:30. We're planning on having the flyers mailed out this week. The consultant is currently working on the concepts. They're finalizing them, so we hope to have the drafts completed this week.
That'd be lovely to look at.
We can share them with you by the end of the week.
Yeah, the full commission. We may
Yes.
have some 2 cents to add.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to G2, Commissioner Menendez.
Yes. We've been working with the University of Miami for an event that engages high school students, especially a lot of the kids that are Coral Gables residents, and we've come up with a coding competition. We mentioned it earlier, Code Mania, and we've had several meetings with the UM administration. It's looking great. We're ready to move forward. It's going to be in March. Naomi has more details. I'd be more than happy to have her fill in the blanks.
Sure. So I would just add, this really is a 3-week competition that culminates in a one-day event at the University of Miami on March 3rd. We'll be reaching out to high school students across the county, but really targeting the schools that have, the highest population of Gables residents, inviting them to compete. They'll have a great opportunity to not only be mentored by students throughout the process, but to talk to Salesforce staff. Salesforce is our other partner. They have created a massively popular cloud-based platform that's used in academia. It's used on business websites. It's just really prolific in terms of kind of like IT offerings in the world. So we're really excited about the event. The competitors will be invited to respond to prompts, and the prompts will be asking them to come up with real-world solutions for things that involve the city, such as help a resident connect with community groups and resources, or help someone plan a day in the city, or help them figure out how to take public transit while they're here. And in the end, our IT department may decide to actually use whatever the competitors create and implement it for our use going forward. So I think it's going to be a great event. We're hoping for a lot of participation. has been a fantastic partner, and we're excited to have Salesforce involved as well. And did I miss anything? No, so I think we're ready to go. So this resolution is necessary just because there will be a certain amount of staff time and resources involved in bringing the event to fruition. So we just want to make sure we have the commission's support.
I just want to mention that I mentioned it some months ago, but the idea of coding came from one of your interns in your summer program, Mayor. And we met with the young people, and when that young man made the suggestion, he backed it up, and we ran with it. So I want to give kudos to the young man that and the other young people that participated in coming up with this idea.
Perfect. I love it. Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Vice Mayor Mena,
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Lago.
Yes. I
Thank
want
you.
to take one item before we go on a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. Item I6, managers' items.
Yes, I6 is a resolution of City Commission authorizing an encroachment to the public right-of-way consisting of one flagpole and associated lighting located at 2020 Salcedo Street adjacent to Menorca Avenue, subject to the requirements of the Public Works Department.
Hi, good morning, all. Thank you for seeing us and your time. Thank you for moving us forward in the agenda as well. What we're petitioning is we're asking for a request for a flagpole in public right-of-way. The address is 2020 Salcedo. It follows the same architectural language as what's seen in Coral Gables Keystone, roughly 18 to 22 inches height on a pedestal 6x6, 6-inch flagpole, black base.
Can I interrupt you one second?
Yes, please.
I met with Surami Cabrera and the city manager. I think this is the most ridiculous thing that we actually have to do today. Putting up an American flag on a flagpole should be celebrated, even if it's on the right of way. I'd like to make a motion to move this item.
I'll second it.
Mr. Clerk, any comments?
No public comments?
All right.
I actually have it.
Yeah, but you want to?
No,
Did you put a card in?
and as the applicant, and Mr. Mayor, I appreciate how
I know it's a
difficult it
right
has
of way.
been,
I know there's a
but
process. I know there's
everything
a
has been from the code,
Yes.
and I would like to say that
Yes.
staff, if there's height limitations, there's zoning regulations, and I appreciate that. So if the ridiculousness is there, the group empowered to change that is the one that I'm addressing. And I work with staff here all the time. When they hold my feet to the fire, if I find it in the code, I say, okay, you got it. If I don't find it in the code, I'll be the first one to say, we'll have a difference of opinion.
So I know that we
but I
have-
do want to compliment staff for adhering to
You always compliment staff. We try to do the best we can to say thank you to staff, and we do that on the record multiple times. But this is something that we should be celebrating. This should be, in my opinion, and staff did the right thing. They went through the process, but this is an American flag where we should be putting up more flags. More flags throughout the city and
You guys have 3 in front of
celebrating what it is to be an American and how beautiful our flag is and what we stand for in this country. So to me, that's why I made the motion. You guys have been here long enough. The process has been taken. Put the flag up, please. I'd love to see it. Can you tell me when you put it up? I'd love to.
You'll be the
I'd love
first
to have the
one.
commission there and invite residents to come and join us on that.
That is the plan. We will we will finish up the process and get it up as quickly as
Do
possible.
we have a motion and a second?
Yes,
You
sir, we
did.
do.
You did.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
How fast can we do Catalonia Park? And then we'll
Oh,
take
real
it.
quick.
Go ahead, G3.
Does staff have the image that we submitted for this item, Catalonia Park? There it is. Last Wednesday around 5:30, I drove by on my way to a meeting.
That's awesome.
I actually took the wrong turn because somebody gave me the wrong address, so I ended up there. I pulled over because I couldn't believe what I saw, and the neighbor, the house next door, was like, "Can you believe all these kids? It's amazing." I walked over and introduced myself, and I says, "This is exactly why." I don't know if you see in the dog area, there's a German Shepherd and his owner. They seem happy, and clearly all these people seem happy. Look at all the little kids at peace. I walked over, introduced myself. Do you mind if I take a picture? I'd love to share it with everybody. The most interesting thing was, without me asking them, they started chanting, "Thank you, Coral Gables, thank you, Coral Gables." I should have videotaped it, but, I wasn't ready for that. But I just wanted to share that folks are enjoying our Catalonia Park, and I appreciate, I think, everybody working together to find a solution and look, it's pretty nice. That's all. That's all.
Commissioner, I want to commend you because, you listened to the residents like we all did, but you took the initiative to find a solution that made as many people happy as possible. I know it's always tough, but you really took an interest in this, and along with Commissioner Anderson, and you guys have all been, the Vice Mayor has been a big advocate for dog parks, so, we're pushing in that direction.
Exactly.
And I appreciate all of your leadership.
Teamwork.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we should have one open on Ponce here before the end of the month, so we can, did you notice how worn out the grass was, though, on the dog park section?
Yeah. Oh, no, without a doubt.
That's why it became such a flashpoint.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take two last items really quick, and then we're going to go on a 5-minute break. K2, which is city clerk item, and K3, back to back. I need a resolution basically just for the regular meetings that are being scheduled.
I'll move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
K3,
K3 is a resolution of City Commission confirming the re-election of Troy Easley, who ran unopposed to the City of Coral Gables Retirement Board, firefighter employee representative for the term January 1st, 2023 through December 1st, 2024.
Move it.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
yes. 5-minute break, and we'll take K1, which is time certain 10 a.m. Mr. Clerk, are we back? First off, thank you. We'll be taking on item K1, which is time certain for 10 o'clock. We're 15 minutes late. I want to remind everyone and ask everybody to please, when you come up and speak, to try to be brief as possible, 1 to 2 minutes. We have a process that was clearly delineated on the memo that I provided on November 3rd. If anybody would like a copy of that, we made it a public record. Make sure that everybody has it. I have other copies of it if you'd like here. Mr. Clerk, moving forward.
Yes, sir. You have a resolution before you appointing a commissioner for the remainder of the term by Commissioner Force that expires in April of 2023.
I'd like to hear public comment first, if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
First speaker is Ms. Jessica Keller.
Ms. Keller, good morning.
Good morning. My comment is just over 2 minutes. My name is Jessica Keller, and my son and I have been actively involved in this community for over 10 years. You each received my email that you not appoint Maria Cruz as interim commissioner, as well as a document that I asked be entered into the record today regarding an incident that occurred when she was a teacher at Miami Beach High School. I'm not here to talk about that, but I hope you will, because the serious contents of this document require discussion. I'm here to actually talk about leadership. Maria Cruz did not possess the leadership qualities this position requires. As a constituency, we value strength and confident leadership. Well-intentioned and motivated leadership should be supported. Leaders should be held accountable when their motives are self-serving and not aligned with the needs of the community they serve. Honest and transparent dialogue through the process is the only way to promote this just accountability. Maria Cruz is in favor of transparency and accountability as long as she is appeased. She is connected to the termination or forced resignation of at least 8 city employees in as many years. Was it because they were poor performers, or was it because these employees were obstacles to her personal interests rather than what was best for the community? Maria is tenacious in her pursuits. Transparency, integrity, and the good of the community be damned. The destruction of the livelihoods of people just doing their jobs is of no concern to her. Community meetings have been canceled because Maria saw the meetings as potentially detrimental to her selfish whims and desires. I know of at least 2 canceled because she wanted to cherry-pick invitees at the exclusion of others affected voters and taxpayers. No one should be excluded from a meeting that impacts their community. The cancellation of these meetings cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars and delayed projects, all because Maria swayed her influence and received preferential treatment. For years, she has insisted that Santa Maria Traffic Circle be rebuilt in her neighborhood, even though the data did not justify the investment. When informed that the data proved that other traffic circle safety concerns were in greater need, her exact response was, and I quote, "Frankly, this is very selfish. I don't care about other people." There are numerous other examples that depict the true nature of Maria, but I wish to be respectful of the time constraints. This isn't about me. This is about accountability. I submit to you that along with this statement, Maria's history with the Board of Education, as outlined in her settlement agreement, entered into the record, demonstrate that she is not fit to be a member of this board, interim or permanent. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to just put, before we proceed, I'd like to put something on the record. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this. I think we need to remember that there's a city code that we need to abide by. There's a code which details decorum. I'll read it into the record so everybody's clear. City Code Section 2-83 regarding decorum. Resolution 2021-187 regarding civility. Resolution 2016-279 regarding civility. City Code Section 2-79 regarding the rules of public comment during the public comment period. I ask you to advocate on behalf of the individual that you think is appropriate to hold this incredibly important position. This is the public trust. We may have differences of opinion, and I understand that, and I accept that. But let's try to keep it as honest, thoughtful, and positive as possible, because I think that's what sets our city apart from others. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Dr. Gordon Sokoloff.
Doctor, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Nice to see you all. Happy holidays. I'm here to advocate for Maria Cruz, actually. And as someone who served on the boards for about 10 years and someone who's attended many of these meetings, I can attest, and I'm sure you all realize that Maria is here not because she's a paid employee, but because she loves Coral Gables. When many of you, Kirk Menendez, Commissioner Menendez, Rhonda, George Forrest, have come to my home soliciting my votes, you were representing yourselves as people who are running for the residents, to support the residents of Coral Gables. And when I think about someone who does that actively and noticeably and visibly, it's Maria Cruz, more than any other candidate. And I know some of those candidates, and they're fine people. But I see Maria here at every meeting. She goes to, she's been to the Ponce Neighbors Association helping out our cause. She's very much a voice for the residents, and I think it would be a wonderful representation from this commission who, supports the residents ideally, and hopefully to select somebody like Maria who demonstrably is here at almost every commission meeting. In fact, I know Mayor Lago has referred to her as the real mayor. I know she's not, but I know you kid that way. So thank you very much. I support her.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Sue Kowalewski.
Good morning, Sue. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Sue Kowalewski, 6830 Gratian Street, and I'm here this morning as the president of the Coral Gables Neighbors Association. This should be a very simple vote for you this morning, determining who will be the temporary commissioner for the vacant commission seat. Maria Cruz is simply the best candidate for this temporary commission seat. And why? Because Maria has attended just about every commission meeting and many board meetings and sits on boards and probably knows more about the city and how it operates than just about anyone that I know. But most importantly, Maria stands up for the residents of the city. She's a fighter and is not afraid to stand up to the powerful who might give her lip service, but who would like nothing better than for her to go away. You know who they are. Now, there are those people who would like to demean and defame her, but those are the people who they themselves have been defamed for just cause. The vote is probably the most significant vote you will be making from this dais. It will show the residents, the voters, come April and the election after, who is really for the residents and who is for the developers and other special interests who fund many of your campaigns. On behalf of the Coral Gables Neighbors Association, we firmly support Maria Cruz to fill the vacant commission seat and hope you vote on behalf of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Ms. Maria Cruz.
Ms. Cruz, good morning.
Maria Cruz, 1447 Miller Road, the home that I have lived in since 1976. Not 10 years, not 11, 40-some years. Please bear with me. This is very difficult. You have received emails, letters, phone calls, comments from disgruntled employees who decided to blackmail me in order to silence me. But there's nothing to hide. Several times, I have offered to show anyone, anywhere, the document that shows what happened. But they were not interested to this day. They wanted to continue the false narrative. The mayor knows because the very first time this came up, he asked me, and sitting around his dining table, I showed him the document when he asked me about it in front of witnesses. For months, we have heard that you have already decided who you're going to appoint, that you already have a chosen one. As a matter of fact, it has been said that he himself has told people that.
Who said that, Ms. Cruz?
I was told that Jim Kaysen has told people that he'll be sitting here soon.
Yeah, who do you say that to?
Yes, I can't tell you. It's come from many different people, many
Has it?
different
Can you
people.
name any?
But, you know, like I said many times, people talk to me, and I don't, okay? The reality is that I never wanted to do this. I agreed to do this, and let me tell you how it all went. I called Sue specifically to ask her to support Sam Joseph, because I thought it was time for somebody different than us to be sitting in this commission. Okay? And at that time, she turned to me and said, "Why not you?" And I said, "No way, Jose. I've always said I'm not going to do this." And she said, there are two types of candidates, political candidates and people's choice. If the people want you, what would you do it? And I said, if people want me, I'm game. I would do it. So I agreed to do this because lots of people, even some people that I've never spoke to before, asked me to do it. I want you to know that at church, people have come to me that I didn't even know existed to tell me to do it. See, I lost my, okay. The ball is in your court. You can either continue the play to the plan as planned, or you can do the right thing and listen to the residents. But before that, I would like one of you to ask me this famous document that I've offered to show, to ask me, because I want this on the record. It's important. I want you to look at it. This is a letter that I've had in my wallet for 15 years, waiting to be able to clean my name. Okay? Let me see, because I wrote it, I didn't want to forget it. My reputation is in jeopardy. There are people here talking that obviously do not know how to read legal documents because what has been said is not true. I would like somebody to ask me, please, I need to get this on the record to put this to rest.
Ms. Cruz, would you like to make a copy of that document and you'd like to submit it to the clerk? Please do so.
I think people need to hear it.
I understand, and I agree with you. That's perfectly fine. You can put it on the record, and the commissioners will review it.
Okay, so what do we do?
You can go to my office, you can go to Commissioner Menendez's and Rhonda's, the vice mayors, make a copy of it, and you can put it into the record.
I think we have a copy.
Okay.
I interviewed Ms. Cruz, and I did ask for an opportunity to read it, and I did make a copy, and I asked for it just to be put in the record.
Okay, perfect. Whatever, if you'd like to read it, or we'd like to,
No, we can have it put in the record.
But I would like to read it, for my sake.
You want to read it?
May I?
Let Rhonda. Go ahead, Ms. Cruz.
October 10, 2007, Mrs. Maria C. Cruz, 1447 Miller Road, Coral Gables, Florida, 33146. In reference to Maria C. Cruz versus Gene Friedman, case number 01-21571 CA32. Dear Mrs. Cruz, in March 2000, as the incoming principal of Miami Beach Senior High School, I was advised that there was some questionable financial reporting ascribed to the previous administration. In my official capacity as principal, I reported that information so that a complete investigation and audit could be undertaken. During the pendency of the above lawsuit, I learned that the information initially reported regarding you, Mrs. Cruz, which I believed to be true at the time, turned out to be unsubstantiated and inaccurate. Even though I acted in good faith before learning of the unreliable nature of the information, it is clear now that some of the information I called upon was inaccurate. In my official capacity, I may have repeated some of the information before learning of its unreliable nature, which was conveyed to you and others, and which formed the basis of this lawsuit. As the former principal of Miami Beach Senior High School, and in my official capacity. I apologize for any inconvenience that this information caused you, and is signed Gene Friedman as former principal of Miami Beach Senior High School.
Thank you, Mr.
There you have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
We don't have anybody on Zoom. We have no other.
No, sir.
I want to make sure we give everybody the opportunity to speak. Okay. So I've given this, like all of you, a lot of thought. I've sat down with many people in this community. I know all of you have because they've actually told me that you have. I've sat down and had conversations with Commissioner Cabrera, Don Slesnick, Mayor Slesnick, Commissioner Jeanette Slesnick, Vice Mayor Quesada, Mayor Kaysen, Mayor Raul Desfaldi, along with a litany of other people who are not, I mentioned the elected officials because they're in the public realm, litany of people who serve on boards, who have given a lot to this community, and we've discussed multiple candidates to hold this seat until the election that's forthcoming in April. I've vetted as many candidates as I possibly can, and I think that this is critically important. Not having someone next to me is an issue. But we need to have someone who can hit the ground running, who understands the ins and outs of our city, understands the budget, understands what we need to address. I'll give you an example. I leave to Tallahassee today. Last year we went 4 times to Tallahassee. We brought back the most money we ever brought back to the city. And we're starting in the preseason, in a special session. I'm going up with a team to really advocate on behalf of issues that we're going to be needing here that are critically important. Public safety issues, like the fire station, like window replacement in this building. I think that we need to pick somebody who is clearly seasoned and understands and can hit the ground running. I don't know if you wanted me to give you my opinion on who I would pick, or you want to listen to everybody's.
Here, whatever you want to do. I have some comments, but if you want to say who you
I would, in my opinion, I think the most competent person who could potentially hold the seat for the next 6 months, who I think has an untarnished and respected view on this issue and on the city, is Mayor Jim Kaysen.
I agree with Ms. Kowalewski that this is a simple vote. And I think it's simple because Jim Kaysen is the obvious choice. There's only 6 meetings. 6 meetings that this individual will be participating in before the new commissioner who wins in April and is elected by the residents of Coral Gables will sit in this seat. The only person who has firsthand experience sitting up here and working and knowledge of how all these things work is Mayor Kaysen. The only person who's been elected by the residents of Coral Gable, I think he had 57% of the vote one time and 70% of the vote on another election. And had resounding double-digit victories during his elections, was Jim Kaysen. I think it's a simple choice given that you want somebody who can come in and work right away. And again, it's only for 6 meetings, and then we'll see exactly who the residents elect in April. Ms. Cruz, I'm sorry that you had to experience this. It's tough. It's part of sitting up here, though. A lot of us have felt the way you felt today. I think Zeta Sardinias has felt the way you felt. I think Miriam Ramos has felt the way you felt. I think Mayor Lago has felt the way you felt. I think Peter Iglesias has felt the way you felt. I think their spouses and children have felt the way you felt. When ethics complaints are filed against people with no basis, when articles are written that are baseless and based on a lot of misinformation, it tarnishes people's reputations. And so that's part of the deal, unfortunately, of being an elected official in the city of Coral Gables right now. And a lot of the folks who are supporting you are part of the reason for that. And so that, to me, above everything else, is disqualifying. But more than anything, I think, again, Jim Kaysen is the obvious choice. I think he's going to sit here for 6 meetings. He's done, I would love to have a count of how many meetings he's presided over, but a lot, hundreds. And then in April, the city of Coral Gables will vote again, and they'll vote for who they want to fill this commission. And I would invite everybody, because I do think we had a very good pool of candidates. I met with several of them. I think Sam Joseph is more than qualified. I hope he considers running. Ms. Russo, who also is a longtime resident of Coral Gables, who applied, I think is also an excellent candidate. I hope she files and considers running. And rather than decide who the people's choice is based on internet polls and neighborhood associations, let's decide who the people's choice is the way that Americans do it, with an election in April. And we're going to see. You know, a lot of what's going on here is a build-up to that election. A lot of the slogans being used today are slogans already being implemented in advance of that election. We're going to find out. You know, I think this is a great opportunity. I would have been supportive of a lot of these candidates. I would have been supportive of, you know, Don Slesnick, Ralph Cabrera, Bill Kurdyk, Chip Withers, any of our former colleagues who have sat here and have the experience to fill in for 6 meetings, which they're more than capable of doing in a seamless way. So that's my position on the issue. I think it is a clear choice. And I want to just invite everybody who participated in this process and just witnessed, you know, what we spoke about, that, you know, it's hard to be maligned in public. It's especially hard to be maligned in public when you feel that it's not based on the truth, when you feel that there's more information that's not being provided to the public. It hurts you, it hurts your family, hurts your loved ones. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating. But you're not the only one that's had the luxury of that experience. A lot of people who sit up here have, as have many people on our staff who, over the course of the last 4 years, I've seen maligned, and I've seen their reputations challenged in public in a way that's really, I think, beneath the dignity of the residents of our city. I think we have good people. I think they act with tremendous amount of ethics at all times. I have never once witnessed one of our staff people here act in a way that I found to be unethical. I think they really try very hard to do what's really a very hard job. And it's a hard job because the public eye is on you, because you're subject to tremendous criticism, but that's what you sign up for. But make no mistake, applying for this position and to sit in that chair or any of these other chairs, that's part of the deal. That's part of the deal in the city of Coral Gables now. We all understand that. And, you know, we're going to have to see what the residents think, and we're going to find out who the people's choice is in April when the voters come out and decide who they think should be the next commissioner.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
I just want to add that though I know most of the candidates, and I've spoken with some of the candidates prior to this process, I've read their background, their bios, read their qualifications. I haven't spoken with any of the candidates. I just did my research in the neighborhood, in the community, learned about their background. I almost intentionally tried to not have that conversation. And I've spoken to Mayor Kaysen in the past. We were at the Miracle Theater for a show. They sat us next to each other. I've spoken to Maria Cruz many a times. Sam, almost on a weekly basis. And like Vice Mayor Mena said, we have a lot of qualified people that aren't on this list, like the Slesnicks, and someone who I think we all admire greatly here, but, you know, is Dorothy Thompson. I mean, to me, no greater honor would be to have someone like Dorothy Thompson up here, even if it's a short amount of time. So my decision will come down to not on what is circulating in social media, not what is circulated, word of mouth. It's based on what I think will be a short learning curve. And I think since it is a short learning curve, I'll be gravitating towards someone who I think, as it was mentioned, can hit the ground running. But I highly respect everyone, because before this process, we were engaging in communication and discussions on issues that are important to the city. And I just want you to know where I'm coming from and how my thought process leading to what will be a decision here for a short amount of time.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I encourage every single one of the individuals that put in their name in the hat to run for office, because I do think they're all very highly qualified. And I do appreciate the opportunity, Ms. Cruz, to have sat down and talked with you. And I understand the pain, that you go through, because it's something I deal with have been dealing with clients for 36 years. Litigation is ugly, and it's stressful, and it causes a lot of some people come out of it with PTSD. So I have great respect for you for having been able to stand up and clear the record going forward. I agree it's a short period of time for someone to be able to hit the ground running. There's not a lot they're going to be able to do in this short period of time. And each one of the candidates I either knew before or I've talked to before, and there's a finite list of things I know that Mayor Kaysen wants to accomplish with code enforcement and water quality issues and things of that nature that are about all you can do in that short period of time. The legislation that you saw that was passed here today on first reading was in the pipeline 6 months ago. You know, by the time it goes through planning and zoning and goes through all those processes, you know, the concerns that have been expressed by the community about, you know, mega projects getting approved or big zoning changes is just not going to happen. And you have a group of sitting commissioners here that have held the line on those issues, and we respect the code. That's, any other comments, folks?
I think well said. I want to echo the comments of the Vice Mayor along with my colleagues. This is a very tough job. And I want to thank everyone who engaged in this process, who threw their hat into the ring for consideration. That's not easy. And I have a lot of respect for people who do that. But one thing that I want to make sure that we work on, and I'm trying to work on it every single day myself on multiple fronts, both in the private and the public sector, is I don't want to become like any other city. This idea that you can, you know, tarnish someone's reputation through anonymous blogs and make comments and false accusations and lead people in a direction with falsehoods. You know, I think it's come to a point where it affects our day-to-day ability. We become angry, you know, we lose trust in the process. People don't want to engage. I've spoken to people who says, listen, I don't read that anymore. I don't even listen to that. I think it's too much. I think we're much better than that. You know that you can come and speak to any commissioner here at any moment. Not about me, it's about every single, we have all the commissioners here have office hours, are accessible. You can speak to the manager, you can speak to the city attorney, the city clerk. You can come to the commission meeting, you can have a conversation with us during public comment. You can come to a town hall meeting. We had that 2 weeks ago. We had the residents wanted to discuss Burger Bob's and design. What do? We put it up, we put together a symposium for everyone to have their time in the sun to have a conversation. This city goes above and beyond. We were just talking about Commissioner Anderson's legislation about notice. Goes above and beyond what any other city does to ensure that we are in touch with the resident needs. I think we need to elevate the discourse and the way that we treat each other. You know, I get an email the other day, oh, but this is politics. No, it's not politics. You can't. You can't just call somebody a racist. You can't just call somebody, you know, an anti-Semite. You can't call somebody a liar, a thief, a corrupt person. You just can't do that. You know, people look at you and they smile and they laugh because, you know, they say these things in the background about you. And we have families that run into other people in the supermarket. We have staff that come to sit down in my office and shed a tear because of the way they're being treated, when we may have a difference of opinion on a matter. But at the end of the day, people have self-worth and they have respect. And we should treat people like that, even in disagreement. So I'm just asking, you know, for individuals in this community to do their part, to lead by example. I know we're trying to do ours. And if you haven't watched a city meeting, this commission, the staff goes out of its way to do everything they possibly can to say thank you, to be cordial, to be respectful, even in disagreement. Even in the fiercest, most bitter battles, when we disagree over an issue, where Mike can't believe that I'm voting a certain way, and I can't believe we're just far and few between, or the same thing with Commissioner Anderson, we walk out of here respectfully because that's what we're voting on, an issue based on who we are. And this is not a, I'm not giving a diatribe. You know, Commissioner, the Vice Mayor brought up a very good point, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents on the record that we got to do better. We got to do better. We can't be like any other city. We can't. So if I need to make the motion, if you'd like for me to make the motion, I'll pass a gavel. I'd like to nominate Jim Kaysen, Mayor Jim Kaysen, for the position to fill the position over the next 6 months that is being voided by Commissioner Ford's leaving.
I'll respectfully second that.
Commissioner Menendez,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Lago,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena.
Yes.
Again, thank you for everyone who participated in the process. Our office continues to be open, and we look forward to your engagement. Thank you. Moving on to item I1, planning for events for the centennial.
Gentlemen,
Sir, would you like to say something?
would you like to say something?
Did you fill out a card? Would you like to fill out a card? Come on up, come on up. Before we move on to item I1, this gentleman would like to say something.
No, I hope that you understood that I was a candidate in the group for the position
Yes.
to fill the vacancy.
Yes.
That's all. And good morning to everybody here. I understand the situation. I understand the problem. I myself have put myself before the public. I was a candidate for the Coral Gables Commission. I wasn't afraid to sit out there and take all the abuse that was thrown at me, and I was also a candidate for the State House of Representatives. So that's nothing new. That's the way it goes here. And you have to learn to accept that, which I did. I didn't win, but I got thousands of votes of people who supported me, and it made me feel good. Now, I'm a 93-year-old man, and I'm married over 70 years now. So I've been through a lot. I have 3 sons. They all graduated from Coral Gables High School. I have 6 grandkids and 4 great-grandkids. So I've been through a lot myself. When you go to the doctor's office and make an appointment, they say, bring in all your list of medicine that you take. I don't have a list. I don't take any medicines. So relatively, I guess I'm in good shape. I play tennis once a week with all my older friends, and that's what makes me go. I'm sure you read my CV.
Yes.
And if you didn't, there's just some personal things that come up. Like I won the first prize in ceramics at the Coral Gables Senior Art Show. 3 times I won the first prize there. I'm a veteran. I was a captain in the United States Air Force over in Japan.
Thank you
and
for
I
your
served
service.
our country.
Thank you.
I was in orthodontic practice. I was an orthodontist, and I was in their practice for 42 years. When I left practice, I went to work at the medical examiner office. I still work at the medical examiner office today. I do dental autopsies. While I was working there, and I still work there, I was called and I went to the New York Medical Examiner, where I helped identify the people in the World Trade Center disaster. I also went to Mississippi, where I did the same work after Katrina. I worked here in Miami at the Value Jet crash. That was my work. After I left my orthodontic practice, that is still my work today. I would be happy to receive this appointment to fill the position on the commission. I promise I will not run again. It would be an honor for me to serve my city, and may, if you wish to have me.
Thank you.
I think that the best medal that I have, really, is this medal that I wear on my lapel. This is a key to the city of Coral Gables. I worked on the Planning and Zoning Board. I was chairman. I worked on the Blue Ribbon Committee. I was president of the Citizens League. I was chairman of the Board of Adjustment. I also was on the 2 committees of the Florida Bar. I was on the Grievance Committee, and I was on the Illegal Practice of Law Committee with the Florida Bar. I have a wide experience. I'd be happy to share that with the citizens of Coral Gables. I thank you for your kind consideration.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your service to this great country. Mr. Clerk, moving on.
Yes, sir.
Moving I-1, Martha.
Hello. So I'm here to give you a follow-up from our meeting last October regarding the city's centennial. So if we could bring the presentation up. Okay, so the background is 2025, as we all know, marks the city's centennial. We have been working with the Communications Committee and giving updates on a monthly basis. Planning began in October of last year when this commission first brought it up. Our goals are simple: to host, organize, and encourage the city and other organizations. There's other organizations such as the Coral Gables Garden Club, the Church of the Little Flower, the Chamber of Commerce that are also turning 100. We want to build and strengthen the sense of community. We want it to be a celebration that is not only in Coral Gables, but that it recognizes us on the local basis as a great city. And we want to accomplish this in a cost-effective manner, because I think that that's very important. We could make grandiose plans, but that wouldn't do. And we've been planning, and the outreach has already begun. I've met with some of the committees, and I've been meeting with departments as well, and with some people that have reached out to us about being involved with the celebration. So internal, what are the sample of things that we're doing? For example, the city clerk's office at the passport office has a coloring book. We would make that centennial theme for 2025. The police and fire departments, they would have special centennial badges. A pin for city employees and for our board members and board and committee members. Light up buildings. FIU recently did it for their 50th anniversary. And it's not only buildings like City Hall and the Biltmore, but it would also be buildings like the Freedom Tower, the museum, et cetera, something throughout this community. And we would also reach out, I think, to the League of Cities so that other cities that do light up their buildings could also commemorate us. Through intergovernmental, it would be to reach out to the Florida legislature and to the Senate, the U.S. Senate, to also commemorate the city of Coral Gables officially. The Coral Gables Police and Fire Departments would have an open house to invite the community, because we really want to do things that bring the community in and also showcase the long history that these two departments have in our city. One of the things that we have discussed with cultural affairs is a sculpture. It would be great to have a public, one of the thoughts, it would be great to have one of the Art in Public Places sculpture commemorate the importance of the Bahamian immigrants and workers to our community. So that could be something, and that is something obviously that has to be planned with a lot of time. We've spoken to Parks, and we think that the perfect time to kick off the centennial celebration, which would take a whole year, would be during the lighting up of the tree, and give it that would in 2024 that would start the celebration, and maybe like the topper of the tree, et cetera, would be something that would be centennial themed. Banners, not only in the downtown area, but banners in conjunction with like the University of Miami on ponds between Granada and San Amaro, for example. So these are just some of the things, wrapping the trolley, one of the trolleys to commemorate this event. So these are a lot of the things that we have been discussing and already following up on. We have an oral history project, and we're producing short videos. These videos are going to be kept in our archives. They're also going to be, and I have two people here that we've already done. Our goal is to do 100. In addition to doing the 100 videos, we're also looking to reach out to StoryCorps so that we can also get like a man on the street look at. We have actually interviewed all of the former mayors. We already have those videos. We started with former Mayor Dorothy Thompson, but all the other ones have been included as well. So I just wanted to show you, I don't know which one you want to, we have Mr. Urquia.
Well, let's see the clerk. I mean, his voice is silky smooth. So
I don't know, he sometimes talks too much. Can we just like the other?
Okay,
hear the
so
clerk. Let's hear the clerk.
Michael.
We all love Dorothy, but we just celebrated her at the museum. Let's.
Okay, Michael, if you could run, and I do want to credit that Michael Rocha has been the executive producer of this, and he's the one that's going to be doing it. So, Michael, if you could run that video, okay? That's our logo, by the way.
Photoshop that or no?
I attended Ponce Middle School. I graduated from Coral Gables High School. And I started working for the city when I was 22 years old. Chief Huda gave me a chance in the police department. I was one of his 911 operators for 3 years. To this day, the toughest job I've ever done. And then in 2006, Walter Foreman gave me an opportunity to join the city clerk's office to implement a couple of software programs. You know, I did a good job, and he gave me an opportunity to stay, learn on the job. And since 2006, I've been with the city clerk's office, and I became the city clerk in 2018, and it's been a great ride. The city clerk is primarily responsible for records management throughout the city. We've been able to scan every single ordinance, resolution, and meeting minutes going back to the inception of the city in 1925. All those documents are now electronically stored, so the actual original document, they're being preserved by the Historic Preservation Department in their original, and they're not being touched every single day. Before, you had to do research. We were using those books on a daily basis. Now, because they're electronic, the documents are being kept the way they should be. I'm particularly proud of the position that I hold. I really am. I know I consider myself lucky to be the city clerk for the city of Coral Gables. I take that job extremely serious, and I have the utmost respect for my position and for others that do the same job that I do. Virginia Paul was in the job for 37 years. She was replaced by Walter Foreman, who was on the job from 2003 to 2018, and I took over in January 1st of 2019. So going back the past 50 years, I'm the third city clerk the city has had. Having my name in the history of the city of Coral Gables, it's just going to add to the legacy. That's all it is. Hopefully, I'll be able to add my part, to do my part, and when you look back at my name, others will look on my name as proud as I look at the names of those that have come before me. The city of Coral Gables is a goal for everyone. Every other city wants to be like the city of Coral Gables. This is a city that takes pride in the way it does things. And every other city should try to be like the city of Coral Gables.
Very well done. That's really good. Really good. Really good.
I feel like we should give him a.
Really, man, that's impressive.
I feel like we should give him a plaque or something.
Yeah.
I think he has set,
An Emmy.
Commissioner Menendez has already done his video, but all of you will be doing your video, but I think that Billy has set
High bar.
a high bar.
Yeah. Can I do mine again after that? And by the way, I'm pretty sure that teenager I saw there, I saw him hot wiring my car one day. So I'm keeping an eye on you.
Martha, can I ask you just a quick request? Is there a way that we can use Raimundo and his team who are here, who do a great job? Can we get them to basically put like some sort of like portal dump where people can come in and say ideas for the centennial? Because the last thing that I want to hear is say, hey, I had a great idea and no one ever asked me, or how do I submit? And then maybe we could send out, an email to the city and say, hey, we're celebrating our centennial in a few years, maybe visit this website. If you have any ideas, even if it's something outlandish, who cares? I'd love to hear. Maybe it's something simple that could just add a little bit of flair, a little bit of detail to this great celebration.
Yeah, and just so that you understand, this oral history project is not only, people like yourselves that are known, it's broad. So for example, we are going to be reaching out to the person that was very involved in the incorporation of Kings Bay, the one that was very involved in the incorporation of Pine Bay Estates. We have already done a video with a coach that has worked at St. Teresa's School for 50 years.
Dr. Amos.
So it's something that's broad. It's just not the usual people that you think of. We want to make it truly to be a history of Coral Gables. And with the museum and our archives keeping this history for future, we're also planning to include a link on our website, and we definitely will look for anyone that has any ideas of how we can really amplify what we think is an important celebration for our community, and, as Commissioner Menendez likes to say, to build community. So those are some of the ideas. And these are the partners that we're looking to work with. I know that, for example, the city attorney's office is going to be working with the Coral Gables Bar Association to make sure that, we incorporate our community partners. And this, by no means, is a full list.
Sure.
This is just a partial list of people that we have begun reaching out to.
And that's why I think that, we also cover ourselves, because we can't be everywhere. And somebody could say, hey, listen, interview this person, or this idea could be great, like you were mentioning how we're going to celebrate and notify people of the centennial. There's always an opportunity that slips through the cracks. So.
Yeah, and for example, Parks is planning to include the centennial theme in all of the events that they do throughout the year. And we really, if StoryCorps from PBS doesn't come down, then we will plan to do it on ourselves so that we can get a man on the street during one of the farmers markets. So the Communications Committee will continue to overlook this. I update them on a monthly basis. And I also look forward to, I've already gone to the cultural board, but I plan to go to all the other boards to really reach out to, we want to involve, for example, school children. We have an idea of having 10 fire hydrants in our central business district, where they could be, we could have show the 10 decades of Coral Gables. So, and as I said, one of the most important things that I do want to keep in mind is that we also want to do this in a cost-effective manner.
Yeah. Well, and I think on that note, I think particularly as it relates to the university, I know they're going to be celebrating their centennial and doing, I'm sure, significant events around that. So that's an opportunity to obviously kind of co-sponsor and share the costs associated with, events that, and they always put on first-class events. And
right, and they are, well, and for example, the university, what we would like to do is also, there's usually a Coral Gables football game.
Right.
So at that time, having the commissioners declare, go out on the field at halftime and do a presentation so that the people there that might not know the centennial, these are people that might not follow E-News, might not follow us on social media, that we have this broader sense of Coral Gables as a community.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great work, Martha. Great work to your team.
Thank you.
The manager. Thank you very much.
Okay, and get ready to be interviewed.
Yes.
I have a,
They set the bar high.
I forgot one point. And I think we had a conversation offline. Since I think Dorothy Thompson was involved, I think the last celebration, the 75th or the 5th, if there's a way to bring her in some role, since she has that institutional knowledge of what the city did last time, and she could help be a bridge.
Yeah, and I have met with Mayor Thompson, just like I've met with other people, like Mrs. Carbonell, that reached out to me, Leslie Rivera, that also reached out to me, that's involved with the Junior League, et cetera. I have met with all those people, and I welcome their participation to come to our communications committee. And I think that this process is one that is ongoing, one that has to grow larger as we move forward to build, to bring more people in. I thought I was going to retire before, but I guess I'm going to stay around till this.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Martha. Great work. Moving on to I-2.
Yes, Mayor, I-2 is a resolution of the City Commission authorizing Coco Cigars 2 located at the Shops of Merrick Park, 320 San Lorenzo Avenue, Suite 1250, to add the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption on premises and accessory use to the retail of cigars and tobacco products as permitted by state law, providing that total receipts from the sale of alcoholic beverages not exceed 25% of the total gross receipts, and permanent bar encounters do not exceed 45 square feet of the surface area, subject to valid certificate of use and local business tax, and providing for an effective date.
Good morning, Ms. Cabrera.
Good morning. So staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval. It comes to commission because it's not an eating establishment, so to sell alcohol, it has to come here to commission, but staff has recommended approval.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you want to say anything?
Any comments you'd like to say?
I mean, cigars is just, alcohol will be just complement the cigar sales. So,
What's your name?
Emre. My name is Emre. I own a cigar shop in Bayside and Coco Walk as well. And I've been doing this business over 50 years.
Where are you from?
I'm originally born and raised Istanbul, Turkey. Okay. But I have a bachelor degree here in FAU, and I've been in the cigar business over 15 years.
All right, good, good. We look forward to your success.
Thank you.
Your success. Anyone have any comments? Any public comment?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second it. It's sort of like wine and cheese, the liquor goes with the cigar. Not that I smoke, but.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes.
Make sure you talk
Thank
to
you
Chief
so much.
Hudak on the way out. I know he'll be.
You got a few guys up here that are cigar guys. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to I3.
I-3 is a resolution of the City Commission authorizing the city manager to evaluate options and begin negotiations for the sale and/or development of the city-owned surface parking lot at 235 Navarre Avenue with Location Acquisitions LLC and provide recommendations to the City Commission.
Again, before we commence, just like I had to do with when these individuals came before the commission a few months ago, I have to recuse myself because the developer is one of my landlords in a property that I own here in the city. So just to be as clear and transparent as possible, I'm following the guidance of our city attorney. Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Zeta Sardinas, Asset Manager. On January 28th, 2022, Location Ventures provided a letter of intent to the city regarding their desire to enter into a long-term lease for the city-owned surface parking lot at 234 Navarre Avenue. Location Acquisitions owns several properties adjacent to this property and has developed a site plan for the overall development of the property that would require the city property for the execution of the project and its parking requirements. City staff evaluated the long-term lease proposal for the property, and after careful review of the LOI and the site plan materials provided, the city manager determined that the long-term lease proposal was not in the city's best interest. However, since the city's Menorca garage is under construction and public parking needs for the Menorca Navarre area will be met once the garage becomes operational, the city manager also decided to evaluate the property's as-is best use market value using an appraisal in order to decide whether the city will surplus the property using the public advertising process pursuant to Section 2-1091 of Division 12 of the city's procurement code. Location Acquisitions has also expressed an interest in purchasing the property. The city manager is therefore requesting authorization to evaluate site development options and to begin negotiations with Location Acquisitions LLC in order to provide recommendations to the City Commission regarding the property's overall potential for sale and/or development.
Any comments? Just to really quick, and I just want to, because I think it's important to make things clear. This is, again, to authorize the manager, and let's use the exact words, to evaluate options and begin negotiations. Much ado was made previously about other discussions relating to other properties that occurred between the manager and people. And as I discussed earlier, it was all much ado about nothing, but in an abundance of caution before he starts having any conversations, making any decisions, talking about any aspects of this. He came to the commission this time with a resolution, and then depending on what he sees and determines and what's on the table or not on the table or what the options are, he'll come back to us and tell us his opinion, and we'll go from there. So this is just step one in the process. And I just want to make that clear that no final decisions are being made with respect to the final outcome here.
Yes, sir.
That is correct, Vice Mayor. This is just for total transparency to make sure that we can evaluate the best use for that particular property. As you know, we have the parking garage, which is a block away, 120 cars, be completed middle second quarter of next year. So we just wanted to evaluate the options, but also wanted to make the commission perfectly clear as to what we're doing. This is not, there's no decision to be made. This is a evaluation of what our options are and what the best use for that property is. And that's really the concern, is to make sure that we are completely transparent in anything we do.
Commissioner Anderson?
Before we go further, I think we have a member of the public that's come on this item. So do you want to take public comment first?
Sure.
Before we proceed?
No problem.
Yes. It's Ms. Maite Haley.
I'm back. Hi, guys. Hello, Commissioner Anderson, commissioners. So this is one of those properties that looks, like a good place for dedicated pickleball courts, and that's what I'm here to speak about. We talked about last time we were here, and there's some solutions in the works with Parks and Recs that I'm working with them for using courts that would be blended, right, with the basketball court at the youth center and some other options, maybe something at Phillips Park. However, this is an opportunity to do something dedicated, very specifically to just pickleball, so it doesn't take away from anywhere else. So this is one of those pieces of land that we've got available to it. Frankly, it's 20,000 square feet, but I think we can easily fit like 4 to 6 pickleball courts on there. I went out and walked it and kind of graphed it. I'm not a designer, but just graphed it on a piece of paper. Someone else is coming. I don't know if she'll make it before the discussion's over, but she's going to talk about, again, a little bit more about the demand. We had at the underlying meetings, I don't know if you're aware of those that have been going on, we had pickleball was absolutely the highest requested amenity for fitness amenities for the underlying. And I think we're going to get some things from the county there, but there should be something for the city. Our firemen are driving to Broward County after their duties to go play pickleball, okay? Yesterday, we were going to go to play at Tropical Park, 20 people waiting. You'll never get a game in. The demand is there, and it'll get used, and we'll figure out how to get our people to park. I've already told people who say, oh, parking. I said, listen, you park way down the street and you take the trolley in. There's options. You walk, it's good for you, all those things. So I'd like you all to consider the use of this for a park. I mean, even if you do 4 pickleball courts, there's maybe room for a basketball court or some other kind of activity like that that would be good for our community. So thank you for listening.
So, I think we have some other park options in the area, not necessarily pickleball courts, but just parks that we're looking to onboard in different areas. We talked about dog parks and other things. I'll be honest with you, and I'm fully supportive of more pickleball courts. I will say, I don't know that having actual pickleball courts in this location is ideal for the following reasons. One, this is a very expensive piece of property. And, if there's an opportunity to generate funds from the piece of property and then build dedicated pickleball courts somewhere where it makes more sense from an economic perspective to do that, I think that makes some sense. Two, if there is a complaint about pickleball, it is noise, right? I'm just saying, I'm for pickleball courts.
So there's ways to ameliorate
sure,
that, yes.
But in an area like that where you're surrounded by buildings, I could see the noise issue there being more of an issue than it would be in an open park like Phillips Park or other places where, you don't have buildings pretty much on top of the property, really, in this circumstance. So, again, what I do think there's an opportunity here to do, though, is to, as part of these discussions that we're embarking on, to have a situation where maybe there can be arrangements made for dedicated pickleball courts in another location as part of this transaction, as part of the public benefit that it could provide. And so, I would ask the manager to explore that as part of his discussions. What can we do to use this to try to generate funds or to try to have a pickleball court built, but maybe not on this actual location as a dedicated facility. That's all I'm saying.
I understand that, and I had the same discussion with my husband,
Right.
who's a banker across the street. So he knows, and he said, "This is what you're going to get." I said, "Yes, but it opens the discussion, right?" And
Yeah.
that's the point. I'd really like us to get moving on this. We're so behind the eight ball in Dade County and Coral Gables to get this done. We really need to identify a spot for dedicated courts. I know in this particular property, there's on just the east side, there's a big wall separating the building. The back is either an open parking lot or the entrance to the parking garage. And then on the west side, there's a small apartment building that's locally owned. And then across the street, I think there's some condos. So that's how that property works. And I'm not sure what they're doing in that private lot. That's part of this discussion, I think, with this property, one of the proposals. So I just urge you to do this really, really soon. This isn't something 3 years from now. This is like by mid-2023. I mean, you can put a court together like
Well,
that.
and I think our park staff, I know Fred is here, I think has the message loud and clear that, as soon as possible, try to have whatever shared spaces we could have as an immediate measure, and then to try to do something more dedicated as soon as possible.
So we are working on getting some of the retrofit fixes. As when we spoke and we brought it to commission, the direction was, as we go into the next years of capital funding, that's where we're looking at for the standalone.
Right.
Looking at perhaps doing it, we floated out Kurdike Park, but the first things first is to come back with a capital funding request, which we will during the budgeting process. We do have the youth center cooking. I know that you're going to speak with our staff. I hope so.
I have an appointment later
Okay,
this week.
perfect. And we're probably going to add another court there. The court is starting to get used at the youth center, so we're going to look at expanding times, doing some program elements that she's going to help us with to get more people involved. So we got the ball rolling.
And this is you don't have to do this, or you don't if you want to or not. But I was going to say to you, as a new commission comes in April, and there's going to be at least 2 individuals appointing new members to all the boards and things like that. I hope you consider getting involved with the Parks and Rec board, because it would be an opportunity.
I'm happy to be on a board. I actually put in an application for one of the boards and never heard anything from anybody.
Well, sometimes they're already so the timing.
And there's a vacancy still.
So the timing for that will be good in April. Again, after there's going to be 2 new commissioners, and they'll have all their board seats to fill. I think it would be great to have a voice on the Parks board. Always looking out for opportunities to have pickleball.
Absolutely. Lily Azell just came in and signed in. Lily is our pickleball ambassador for Dade County from the U.S. Pickleball Association, and she's made it over here, so I'm going to let her say her thing. They want to help us, but it looks like this property is a little difficult, but they're going to find one to replace it with, right?
Well, I really appreciate your time. And my name is Lily Azell. I'm the USA Pickleball Ambassador. It's our national governing organization in the United States. And I became an ambassador 5 years ago. I learned this sport in Big Sky, Montana, where I live part of the year. Came back to Miami, there was nothing. Miami, Dade County as a whole, this whole region has been last to be on board with pickleball. I was working with Carl Schmidt, who's our facility developments manager. He's available to everybody here nationally. And basically he told me, we were working on numbers, and he basically told me 15,000 people would be playing this game in Miami-Dade County if there were facilities. Last August, we had 0. Today, within 6 months, we will have 70 dedicated pickleball courts and 33 blended lines. Coral Gables, I came to Coral Gables 4 years ago in your community development center. I think it was the Active Adult Center, I believe, because I was trying to find a place to play. The court is the wrong size, and it's wonderful that that was available, and that is available to the community, which is excellent. But Coral Gables has really been one of the last cities to adopt this, and we know that the challenge is space. I mean, that's what we hear across the board, and we know it's space. And I got to tell you, it's also creating problems with the tennis community, because what's happening is because there's no space, then you want to do blended lines on tennis courts, which That's the way it's been up to now because we had not been able to quantify the demand. The demand has been quantified. It's here. We don't have enough courts. We have the youngest generation now is getting involved in pickleball, which means those 38 and under and our kids, it's the largest growing sport for those children too. So what I'm saying is, I'm happy to hear you guys are on board. We need a solution that's dedicated and that doesn't impede on our tennis community because we don't want to have those problems and it's not good for our community. And the underline, I mean, the largest population that turned out to try to get courts in the entire underline this past week is pickleball. So I'm just letting you know, and your residents are actually going to Miami Beach, they're going to Tropical Park, they're going to all other facilities because there's nothing available here to speak of.
I would encourage you, and I'm sure it was Maite can provide to you. So like last meeting or 2 meetings ago, I don't remember which one, we had probably a healthy hour-long conversation probably with a lot of residents here. And I think unanimously everybody was in support of doing this. Again, kind of step one, immediately as soon as possible, try to have co-located courts just where we already have things set up. And then step two, which our parks director was just describing, is to making sure that in the next budget, we budget dollars to build out more dedicated facilities. I'll just reiterate, because I said this during that meeting, look into opportunities with schools and to try to like partner with them where, and I mentioned, and again, I'm just pulling this out of thin air, but like you talked to like a Ponce Middle that has a huge grass field there. It's a central location in Coral Gables. Maybe if we paid to build out the court, they'd let us have it there as kids could use it during the day. Maybe, there's opportunities there to try to make things happen in a more expedited fashion while we budget, for a bigger solution.
And that's a really good suggestion. There's 2 areas. Water Oaks out west has 8 courts that Miami-Dade County built. It's right. It sits up right behind Hoover Elementary. They had a pickleball unit in their education. I talked to the PE teacher. In Miami Beach, we had 2 courts at Polo. Those kids are completely overrun those courts. So that's a great suggestion. That may be a way to address that. But we know that there's very little land here, and we just hope that you all, as stewards of our, the community, that you all really address the issue that we have in our public parks, because
we're committed to making it happen. I assure you. Again, everybody's been very strongly in support of this. We hear you guys loud and clear. We know that there's a real palpable demand for it. So we hear you,
and I appreciate.
We'll get there.
And what I do invite you, I'm doing a clinic for commissioners for Miami-Dade County on Sunday at Calusa Park. I'm doing one for Miami Beach commissioners and mayor in January, and I would love to do one for the Coral Gables crew.
Let's do it.
So we can get this done.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm ready. I have my paddle and balls. Let's go.
Let's do it. Thank you very much. I
Vice Mayor,
appreciate it.
Commissioners, we understand the pickleball issue,
Yeah.
that it's so popular, and we're looking at all aspects to see how we can improve that right away.
Well, this is a very valuable piece of property, but I also see this as an opportunity to fast forward the need for additional park space that we do. So my request would be in your evaluation, and I'll emphasize that this is an evaluative process. This is not a green light. That's going to not come back to this commission for final approval, that you locate some additional park space land. We're short on field space for soccer. We're short on field space for many other things. And we're also clearly short on pickleball space and other space for recreation. So let's grab the opportunity. You have an asset that's got tremendous value, and I think we can utilize those dollars maybe a little more efficiently if we do it simultaneously and not have to wait for the next 5-year budget capital improvement plan to do it in.
Commissioner, we're looking at all options right now, and this is one of them where we realize how pickleball has kind of taken over.
You want to play? I'll play.
She's trying to recruit me all the time.
And so we are looking aggressively to increase our local courts and looking at different options. And also, this will be another option that we can look at. As the Vice Mayor said, this may not be the ideal property because of the noise and the potential value of the property, but it doesn't mean that we can't look at this as a stepping stone to something else.
I want to add at some point down the road, because we've had the preliminary discussions and the timing wasn't right, but at some point down the road, as is needed, we are able to come up with a renovated new Coral Gables Youth Center. That's an amazing time to really have a significant areas dedicated to pickleball. And that's something I think most everybody understands there's a need we want to do, but that's an incredible property, and that'd be a clean slate, and we could start from scratch. And the only reason I don't play with Commissioner Anderson is that I refuse to play unless we're playing against fire rescue, because just in case, I want them around. But that's another story.
If I could just add one thing, I have always looked at Coral Gables as a very progressive, very much involved and engaged community for its residents. I've had the opportunity to work with different municipalities around Miami-Dade County. Miami Beach, when I had Bitcoin out, I had Bitcoin attendees who reached out to me when they were coming in April. Miami Beach was kind enough to lend me the 2 tennis courts that we had adjacent to the Miami Beach Golf Club, so that we can at least line those courts and put temporary nets for that community that was coming in. There was 35,000 of them coming in. We had over 200 RSVPs. Now, let me just add, at the same time, we had efforts from the community actually talking to their commissioners. Within 4 months, they built the most beautiful 6 dedicated courts in that community, and that is being overrun right now by everybody. Coral Gables residents are heading that way. So what I'm letting you know is, when there's a will, there's a way, and we know you guys care about your residents and your community, and there's so little space left. Let's just kind of think about what that is going to do for your residents and for your kids.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
All right.
Thank you.
So let's get back to the item on the table, which is authorizing the city manager to, again, start discussions, evaluate, and report back on what possibilities there may or may not be as it relates to this property, so that we can then have a discussion and get community input on the matter and go from there. So is there any additional public comment? Anybody want to make a motion?
No. I'll move it.
I'll second.
Commissioner Menendez,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to item I4, and if somebody on staff could maybe just tap the mayor on the shoulder and let him know that we're moving forward.
I4 is a resolution of City Commission accepting a recommendation to waive the competitive process for the procurement code to award a contract to the pool bottom or finishing project at the Venetian Pool in an amount not to exceed $400,000 of the special procurement bid waiver pursuant to 2-691 of the procurement code.
I'm sorry. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this is for Venetia Pools, for the Venetia Pool bottom. We're awaiting the final engineering results on it. We've looked at various options, and due to the time constraints, we would appreciate a bid waiver with a maximum amount of $400,000 to fix that pool bottom as expeditiously as possible to maintain the closure as limited as possible.
Anything you want to add?
I couldn't have
All
said
right.
that.
And if I recall correctly, the $400,000 sort of max amount here was the amount that had been set forth in the budget, right, for this?
Yes, it says it's in the budget, yes.
Any public comment?
No, sir.
I'll move it.
Move it.
Comments? All right.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to I5.
5 is a resolution of City Commission approving the city's 2023 legislative priorities in substantially the attached form. Slavy Garcia.
Awesome.
Mr. Clerk, can I vote yes on I4?
Yes, sir.
Venetian Pool? Thank you. And thank you, Vice Mayor, for running.
Of course.
Hello again. So this is a resolution, our annual resolution, adopting the city's legislative priorities. I've attached a few different versions of the priorities, and I would like to get some feedback in your direction as to which one you'd like to move forward with this year. My recommendation is that we go with a short form. We've talked about this, I think, a few times in the past, where I think our priorities, although all of them are very important, I believe it would be beneficial to kind of hone in on the ones that are most important to the city And that way, our printed materials are also more succinct, easier to digest, and we know our audience. We're not going to our elected officials in Tallahassee with things that might not be well received.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, so when I spoke, we had this conversation last year, and I spoke to Naomi again this year, and let's really focus on the things that are real priorities and that are non-controversial, non-partisan issues. Like Tallahassee's a tricky place to navigate. You have people on both sides of the fence that have different passionate feelings about topics, like, subject matter based issues that are just sort of trying to make a statement. I think, not that they're not important, even if I agree with it, at the end of the day, I think our real goal needs to be to bring back funds like we did this last year very effectively, and we should prioritize whatever our highest priority budget items are, first and foremost.
Just as the Vice Mayor said, we had that same conversation. We struck many issues that are personally very important to me, like solar and a litany of different things that I think are critically important, that are not priorities. Not that they're not priorities to the administration. I mean, again, the governor has been a staunch advocate of the environment and has done great things, but we really got to drill down on public safety issues, resiliency, issues of hardening, and really focus. And that's how I think we've been successful. For those who don't know, I want to say thank you to the governor. We just got another $2 million in water projects. I think this is by far the most successful year we've ever gotten from the state legislature. And we've put together an incredible list of projects that I think are going to hopefully bear fruit. I leave today to Tallahassee to spend 2 days in preseason with our team in an effort to, again, we want to bring down more money this year and make even a bigger splash. So we're going up there to remind our new state leaders, the governor, that we're front and center. I spent time with the governor on Sunday. I met with him at 5 o'clock when he was here in Miami. Again, just reiterating, first off, our gratitude for his trust in the city of Coral Gables, that we're doing the right thing, and that he really gave us almost a $5 million windfall this year, which is incredible, in between all the projects that we were allocated. And we're coming back for more, and that we need his help, and that, he plays a major part in the city. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
And I just want to be clear, if things arise in Tallahassee during session that I know the city has taken a position on in the past, or that are consistent with statements or the sentiment of the commission, we monitor those items, we advocate for those items. I guess the discretion I'm really looking for here is to be able to be more selective with what gets printed and what gets pushed when we have those in-person meetings. So it's not that, we're necessarily foregoing our priorities. I just would like to be a little more selective. And so I would like the
I
the
believe we need
commission
to be a
to
little
grant
more
that authority.
focused, as we discussed, a little more focused on our initiatives so that I think, and also our lobbyists can work better on those particular issues. So I think we all concur.
I want to mention that, I'm happy to see that we have a few things roll over from this past session to the next session, which I think is important because those are still important issues. I've been up there and I've noticed that things don't pass the first time, don't pass the second time, and just be persistent, and you eventually get to where you want to be. So I'm happy to think the Venetian Pool is still on the list. I'd be more than happy to invite whoever I need to for a swim so they can enjoy it. But it's those little things. I'm glad you're very good at the detail and you have a great sense as to what we want and what the community needs. So just kudos to you for your work.
Thank you.
So if you're done, I just had one question on my colleagues. I did Huh? Did I cut you off? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, my friend.
You were leaning back,
I'm old.
You were going to do the backswing?
More or less.
I sent you all, through Naomi, a pink highlighted version of the long form. There was, and then I understand we're just going to print the short one. If there was a thought of you all of addressing septic to sewer conversion funding, having a grant program to include that in the short form. And if you all are going to add something about the mandatory septic tank inspection, I'd ask also we include inspection of existing residential sewer lines on sale of homes as well.
And that's something that has been a priority for me, but I know that we were preempted at the state I consider that legislation. I wanted to bring it here to the cities. I think it would be very beneficial for somebody who's buying a property to know the state of the septic tank. You know, we've heard from commissioners, we've heard from residents where they purchased a property and they later found out that they were in the hole $15,000 or $20,000 because they had to replace their septic tank. So I think I'm all in favor of that, Commissioner.
Yeah.
So what Commissioner Anderson is suggesting, so you'll probably recall the document I circulated a few days ago had Commissioner Anderson's feedback on what
Yes.
she would like to see in the legislative priorities. So I do think adding a priority that requests that the state establish a grant program for low-income residents to achieve septic to sewer conversion, it makes sense. And that's kind of in line with all of the resiliency funding that we've seen come out of the state in the last 3 years. And then the other suggestion is expanding the mayor's initiative where we require septic tank inspections associated with real estate transactions to mandatory inspections for residential sewer lines in addition to septic tanks.
Yeah, and my goal there is simple. I mean, obviously, we're trying to tackle the septic tank issue, the conversion. But while it's going to take decades potentially, unless we get some sort of federal funding, let's at least stop the leaking if we can.
Right.
At least in our community, we need to be responsible. We need to be responsible to maintain our septic tank, and we need to be responsible. We're not leaking into the aquifer. So, and again, you saw what happened in the Keys. The moment that they addressed the septic tanks, we've seen the water quality in the canals actually be much more improved. So that's the whole goal behind it, just to have accountability.
Okay, and the rest of my edits are only if we were going to print the long form. You know, the language changes and cross-outs of some legislation that's not going to move forward in Tallahassee. So that's it.
My big issue is just, I want to focus in on the money. I want to focus in on appropriations. I want to give our manager and his team all the resources they can to attack as many projects as possible. Case in point, one of the items that I requested to add to the list was the windows for City Hall. We just did the roof. Let's finish the windows. Let's seal this building so then we can start working on the interiors of this building.
I would
I think
celebrate
that is something that will be very well received as a historic building that everybody drives by in this community, and our city representatives and our senators come here consistently, so they're well aware of the current state of the windows in this building. So those are the type of things that I really want to drill down, so that when I go up there in a few hours, I can say, look, these are our priorities. We need your help.
And Mayor, besides water infiltration, air infiltration, we also have sustainability of this building by having an impact, by helping our envelope be impact resistant.
So
it
Mayor,
really
I think we
protects it.
pivoted to the annex.
And sound.
Yes, annex.
To the annex, are we doing windows too?
I would like to do windows to the building.
We would like to do windows start the window program in the annex.
Okay.
Looking at what windows would be, certainly we would use appropriate windows. I know that the Biltmore has very, very, very high-end wood windows that are very impact resistant. So also, as the commissioner said, also sound attenuation. So we put shutters on this building, but we're anchoring to coral rock. So they're not very.
It really doesn't do it.
It really doesn't.
No.
They're not effective. We don't even have loads for that.
But you only want to do the annex for now? You don't want to do the entire building?
I would love to do the entire building. Yes.
Let's
But-
Yes, for sure.
let's ask.
Let's talk about that, right? Because there is timing associated with
I am
any of
just-
these grants. So we'd have to be able to start the project within 12 to 18 months. Are we ready to start windows in City Hall between 12
Windows
to
is
18
something that
months
we
of
can
award?
start very quickly. It's something that we can do very, very quickly if we have to. We're very versed in envelope work, and actually on the annex is something that I wanted to bring up some. Thank you all. Thank you to the commission, the mayor, and the commission for bringing that up, because I do think that we need to look at sustainability, and unfortunately, I know they're original windows, but there's no sustainability there. The wind loading is minimal, water infiltration is minimal, air has a tremendous amount of exfiltration. We're putting tape to help with the exfiltration, with the infiltration issues and the exfiltration issues. So I welcome that, Mayor, and that's something that, and commissioners, is something that we could do very, very quickly on this.
I mean, I know that we could, just being in the industry, I know that we could hire a window contractor who would do shop drawings, submit them to the city. It's a standalone permit. We may have to do some structural work, which obviously with our city manager, Tsunami Cabrera, and the team that we have. I have full faith and confidence that we can turn that around in maybe 2 or 3 months. The shop drawings, any structural documents that be required, and embark on actually finally finishing the envelope of this building, which I think will pay significant dividends. And I think that you'll see a lot of support from the state on that, because this is, again, a historic building of significant magnitude in this community. There's a lot of history here. And when you come to my office and you come to everyone else's office, I don't want to just say my office, because everybody's office is basically, the windows are falling apart and they're held together by blue tape. So one of the things that I want to mention, since we say that, there's a common misconception that I spoke to the governor about, and I spoke to the Senate president and all the state representatives, that we're a very, very rich, ritzy community. I want to make sure that we highlight that we're very thoughtful in how we spend our money. We've invested probably more money than any other city in the state in regards to shoring up our pensions. We have the second lowest millage rate for a full-service city in Miami-Dade County. We have a triple bond rating. We're one of 2 cities in the state of Florida that I'm aware of. I don't know if it's gone up to 3. 2 cities in the state of Florida. And that we're spending, we have a sea level rise mitigation fund that we're putting away millions of dollars a year. And that we're investing in sustainability. We're investing in infrastructure, with our police and our fire, that we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we haven't raised taxes in 10 years. So don't penalize us, because we're very thoughtful, and we put together a plan and a schedule to attack the issues that our residents need here to address quality of life and public safety issues. Those are things that's basically going to be my discussion, like it was last year with every elected official. And they all look at us, as you guys were there, they're like, oh my God, I never knew that about Coral Gables.
It was very powerful.
I never knew that about Coral Gables. So when you go up there and you ask for money, like we did this year, and we got almost $5 million in between water projects and appropriations projects, the argument is more substantial, and I think we have a lot more legs when we explain how thoughtful and how we budget, how methodical we are in regards to the public's dollars, and how we're fiduciaries, and we're very careful when we embark on a project, and we budget for years, like how much we have in restricted reserves and unrestricted. Those are the kind of conversations that they like to hear, because they want to know that we're not like any other city that just basically spends ourselves into debt and then goes back to the state asking to be bailed out. No, we're very thoughtful. When we have limited debt, we're very methodical. I think that's key. I don't know how to put that together in a one-page document, which I think should be included.
I mean, we send that message that, we should not be penalized for doing good planning. If you want to encourage other cities to do the same, you have to show them that they reward those who are conservative in their spending and plan properly and escrow the monies necessary for these projects.
Okay. You need anything else from us, Naomi? The vote?
So I need to know what we're voting on, if we're going to vote on the short form of the priorities. And I heard the message that you'd like to add a priority related to septic to sewer conversion, and possibly also discuss the health of sewer lines or potentially mandatory inspections. I don't know how mandatory inspections of sewer lines are going to go over, honestly, but we can definitely massage the wording and add it as a priority if that's the will of the commission.
I looked up what it costs to do it. Okay, you can go through the clean out, or you can take the toilet off, put a camera down. It's about a $200 job. That's all it does to be able to inspect those. The other thing that I mentioned was, on the septic to sewer conversion funding, we previously had language in there to amend Section 16308 of the Florida statutes to expand the PACE program. PACE program's out of money.
So in the short form, that's been stricken altogether.
Yeah, so I struck that, and I instead put in there a grant program, which was done historically in the past with the other counties when the push was made for those counties with Great Springs, to be able to do it. A grant program was established for low-income residents. So we should be able to get the same. It's in fairness.
Perfect. So we're going to go with the short form.
So what I'm hearing is short form plus a priority related to septic to sewer conversion, including grants for low-income residents, including mandatory inspections of sewer lines. That's what I'm hearing.
Massaged.
Massage.
I would like to massage that, yes.
Yeah, you can massage the language, but also, aren't we adding the windows?
I have a legislative question. I mean, yeah, legislative. Well, not Tallahassee legislative, but this resolution. Can we vote and approve it, but in a form that if there's any additions, as long as we get notified of what the additions are, you have the flexibility going forward?
So the way the resolution is currently written, I do have a certain amount of flexibility, which is very important for me to preserve in order to be effective. I don't circle back with every little thing unless I think it's deviates in some way from positions the commission has taken in the
if the mayor,
past.
Commissioner Anderson, or one of us, there's something that's important we need to add.
You can always do that.
And as long as, in my opinion, as long as we get notified of what was added, I have no issue moving forward with whatever was suggested now, and you have the flexibility to do what you need to do.
Does the commission wish to add the window issue for City Hall?
Yes, I would, as a project.
Okay, so we'll have to identify matching
And
funds. We'll
Mayor,
have to figure out how much we're asking for. We'll have to do all those things.
Well, I will work with you on that, but Mayor, we have, that can be done quickly. We've done this kind of work before in other historical buildings. It's expensive, but we have all the technical expertise to get it done.
That'd be great.
May I also add, just for consideration, there are grant funds through the Department of State that comes through a different process in the state appropriation process. It may make sense to look at that as a source of funding
Let's look at
for
that
the
as well.
windows as
If we
well.
can look
So
at that
if
as
we
well.
just have the flexibility to evaluate what's the best source funding for that, I think that would be helpful.
But I think it's important to add it to our legislative agenda that we're looking for funding for City Hall. It's on the National Historical Register, and it's highly vulnerable right now because of our window issue.
Okay.
Sounds good. Perfect. Okay. Can I get a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi. I'll see you later. I-7.
I-7 is a resolution of the City Commission authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate purchase and sale agreements for the sale of transfer development rights currently available from 280 and 286 Coral Way, which is the Miracle Theater, and directing that all proceeds be placed in the city's historic building fund.
Any comments? Sponsor?
I'm the sponsor. No, this is, I mean, I just want the community to know this is ongoing efforts by this commission to get additional funds for our landmarks, our historic buildings, or historic structures. And this is a very, I think, helpful and creative way to ensure that the funds that are needed to maintain and keep up, especially, I mean, for example, the Miracle Theater, which is mentioned here directly. I mean, that's an iconic structure. I mean, you come down Miracle Mile, whether it be parade or lunch, everybody knows the Miracle Theater. And to let it, over time, perhaps deteriorate would be, I think, this is yet a great opportunity to provide and get additional fundings to take care of those things that we so cherish in our community, which are our historic landmarks, and it's something we take pride in as a community.
And we have established a historical building fund, so all these funds will go into that historical building fund and will only be used for work on our major historical structures.
No, I think it's a wise use of the TDRs. I mean, we know that there's other TDRs out there that for sale for other folks, and we have some of the, best sources, and it would be foolish of us not to utilize these assets, the TDRs, to be able to improve and preserve historic buildings in our city.
Any public comment? Any issues? No?
No, sir.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to I-8.
I-8 is a resolution of the City Commission authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate purchase and sale agreements for the sale of transfer development rights currently available from the H. George Fink Studio located at 2506 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, and directing all proceeds be placed in the city's historic building fund.
This is very similar to the prior item. We have a few TDRs left in Fink Studio, and we would like to have those available also.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Commissioner Menendez?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena?
Yes.
Mayor Lago?
Yes. Moving on to I-9.
I-9 is a resolution of City Commission accepting the recommendation of the Innovation and Technology Department and the Police Department to waive the competitive process of the procurement code and engage the services of inside public sector to implement an upgraded CAD system as a special procurement bid waiver pursuant to Section 2-691 of the city's procurement code.
Sir.
Sir.
Chief, how you doing?
Good morning, good afternoon. Good morning, I got
Almost.
9 minutes.
A little bit of both.
Commissioners, at the last, and I know this seems kind of quick to get to you all, and I really want to acknowledge not only IT, but procurement and legal to kind of put this together for the ability for us to negotiate with our providers. Our CAD system, which runs police, fire, records management, is, in my opinion, I won't speak for the IT czar, is woefully inadequate, and we need to upgrade according to what we are bringing on board between the body-worn cameras, the CCTV, the drone program, which launches on Thursday. We noticed that we're overloading our CAD system. What's before you now is a special procurement bid waiver, and it is important that we kind of get this into the process now, forsaking any other kind of issues that we may have in dispatch, both police and fire. So before you is the item. If this man to my right says it's good to go, then I'm definitely on board. So we've worked it collectively. We've sent out both our police and fire to different parts of the country to examine it working. I believe we will be the first ones in Southeast Florida. Southwest, one department has it. But if Raimundo says it can do everything and then some, I'm all in.
Sir?
Thank you, Chief. So we did a thorough research over 2 years, worked together with the chief and with the police team and with fire, and we went to those major agencies like Boston PD and Washington, D.C. We met with Atlanta and we talked to Seattle. So those big cities that they really did a lot of research, and they decided that this is the best smart solution for CAD and for RMS and for 911. So we are certain that we are going with a very innovative and advanced solution that is future ready, that is going to be sustainable for many years to come.
Our current system, Mayor and Commissioners, is obsolete, so this system really provides the integration that we're looking for in all the platforms that we have within the city.
Okay. Perfect.
Excellent. Do we need a motion?
I'll second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mena,
Yes.
Commissioner Menendez,
Yes.
Mayor Lago.
Yes. Well, seems to be that
done?
the agenda is come to an end.
We
Are there any
beat
other
the
further
12
comments?
o'clock hour.
Are there any other further comments?
I just have one thing to add. I'm sorry, I usually have a visual, but I can't
Shame
do
on
everything.
We will imagine it like you do in
More or
your
less. I am your father, Luke. December 18th, Miracle Theater, 5 p.m. Free to Coral Gables residents. The original Star Wars is going to be shown at the Miracle Theater. I'm hosting. Tickets are actually going fast, I was told, obviously for the good, right reason. I think the original Star Wars was shown at the Miracle Theater. So December 18th, Sunday, 5 p.m., free to Coral Gables residents. You can purchase the tickets online or directly at the Miracle Theater. Bring the family, bring the grandkids, bring the kids, bring the grandparents, because it's definitely a family affair.
Love it. Commissioner Anderson?
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
I love it.
In fact, Happy New Year. We won't see each other.
Yeah, we won't see each other.
So I hope you all have a blessed holiday season. Grab the moments before they fleet by.
Yep.
That's what I have to say to you.
Vice Mayor?
No, just reiterate that. Happy holidays to everybody, and thank you to staff for everything this year. And exciting year ahead, and looking forward to it.
Thank you. Just to reiterate again, World Cup Finals, December 18th. Please, I've asked my staff.
What time?
10 a.m.?
Starting at 9:30.
9:30, yeah.
I've asked my staff, I've asked the city manager, Martha, to please get the word out. This is a family event. The more the merrier. We want to have hundreds of people out there. The business community come out and enjoy. We're going to have food trucks. I know that we're working on getting some food trucks out there. You know, it'd be nice to just see a lot of people enjoying themselves in that morning. and really celebrating not only soccer, but celebrating what an exceptional community we live in. So let's do everything in our power to get the word out there.
Yeah, if Martha can get us, something we can share on social
Graphic,
media, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Make
want
sure you
people to
put it
be
on my
there.
calendar, please. I forget things when they're not on my calendar.
And if Fred and Carolina can directly communicate the event to all the kids and families that are already registered at the youth center, you already have plenty of families that would love to participate.
We will do that, and it will be on E! News tomorrow also.
Okay, and I want to make sure that we send everything to police, fire, all the employees. Make sure the employees are aware. Please, I ask the employees to join us. Maybe we can do something special for the employees. Maybe a voucher of something, help cover the cost. Myself, whatever's needed, provide them with a free lunch or something. If the employees are interested in coming and joining us on a Sunday. I know people have a lot of commitments with family, but it'd be nice to have a good mix of families and employees out there celebrating with us, police and fire. Before I close out, I'd like to bring up, Mr. Manager, if I may, our police chief, just to discuss a little bit of some police activity that's been happening in the city. Everything is good. We're being very diligent. Numbers again continue to trend in a downward fashion. But I want the police chief just to talk a little bit about the HeartNet issue and also talk a little bit about what we need to do during Christmas. We need to be vigilant. You need to understand we live in a community where people are coming to not only enjoy our great amenities, but also to rob this community. So we need to be very thoughtful, be very careful. Lock your cars. If you're coming home, get off your phone. Make sure there's nobody behind you. Be very careful. Make sure you have lights on in your house. I'm not trying to scare people, but I want people to think proactively to ensure that they're not put in a position where, they leave a back door open or a front door open or their house is not properly lit. But I'll let the professional, our chief, talk about that.
Thank you, Mayor. The one thing that we do see this time of year, starting from Cyber Monday through Black Tuesday and all the other retail things that they have, is we have porch pirates, as we unaffectionately refer to them as, where they're going and they're preying on them. To date, and I believe it was sometime yesterday, they told me our NSAs have moved over 680 packages from obviously where they're at. We put door knockers on.
And if I may, Chief, I just want to congratulate the NSAs. I've gotten multiple calls from residents who have told me, hey, I received a phone call, I received a note, I had an NSA track me down and say, hey, listen, there's a package visible from the street. So, they're doing a really good job.
They are, and again, their interaction with everyone has been very positive, but they've also, that's our eyes and ears. We have a big campaign going on with Careless with Your Key Fob, means carless tomorrow. When I tell you, some of the cameras that we've watched people get cars stolen within 30 to 40 seconds. If somebody parks it, goes inside, they see it. We had our PSI meetings yesterday with my command staff and started talking about some of the innovative things that we're doing, working with Broward County, working with Miami-Dade. This is an organized group that is stealing cars, using juveniles. They understand some of the limits that we will do in pursuing those individuals. We've recovered cars within 2 hours with some of the technology that are both in the cars and otherwise. So a lot of it has to do, and I know I jokingly say it, sometimes we all make stupid mistakes. I can't fix stupid mistakes. It's keep the keys with you. Make sure, some people don't even know that there's a valet key in their glove box, and they come back and take it. I mean, we've had stories where people have had a car stolen, got it replaced, got it stolen the next day. So we're averaging between, on the low side, 70% of our cars that are stolen in the city are with key fobs in them. And it's just, technology is a scary thing. There's certain cars where they can override the key fob frequency with computers, and they take them that way. So it is definitely aware of your surroundings is what we're looking at. We do have increased patrols, our holiday bike patrols, as well as down in certain areas where we have foot traffic. We've seen an increase which is a good thing for our businesses and our party goers as well. But we do have our DUI patrols out there. So again, I enforce everybody that's going to the holiday parties, use Uber. That's a big thing. The other issue that came up, and I had a lot of questions this week, was the issues that came over on Camposano Drive. The gentleman was taken into custody yesterday by the federal marshals. He is now looking at federal charges as well as state charges. He was arraigned this morning. I think he was in bond court. Commissioners, I'm going to be very honest with you. I know we take, and our officers and our firefighters do a lot of things. Firefighters, everybody loves the fire guys, got it, because they're saving. You know, we're the ones that have to kind of enforce those laws. When anyone, and I mean when anyone, would cross or attack your families, or especially these officers' families, or target them, I'm going to have a zero tolerance policy. Now, I say that being fiduciarily sound, we're going to put in for cost reimbursement for the individual for the around the clock, and he was basically on house arrest. And my reasoning for doing that, along with the manager and talking with our city attorney, was that I wanted to make sure that everybody in that neighborhood was safe, not just our officers. And it is appalling to me that anyone would go to any of our houses. And I mean, you know, we sign up for these jobs for a lot of different reasons. We being the police, but also elected officials, federal judges. We've come to the point where we have to do something and realize we all signed up for this, our families didn't. And I mean, this is the public safety part of it. I hope, you know, that those families sleep a little bit better because the individual is going to be held accountable. This is not his first sign. I know there was a lot of people because of where he lived. There was other people that were worried about it, which is why we did what we did. We used technology. So everything I've come and asked you for, we put to use, and we will continue. But, you know, I thought it was important that we do it that way, and that, you know, from the moment he wouldn't come out of that house, and we didn't have the legal authority to go in and working very well with the state attorney's office. I will tell you, to your point, Mayor, I'm going to see the governor because I think there's some things that we can do to increase the laws and the reality of not just making it a misdemeanor to come to some officer's mother's home with a golf club in your hand. Right. And come to the station with the golf club. I mean, there's evidence of this. So, and again, I don't think it's anything intentional from the law side, but we're going to work with the state attorney's office and push to try and spearhead that for all law enforcement and first responders throughout the country. So I understand that was quite a presence. By Friday, we couldn't, you know, I wasn't going to sustain it through the weekend because we had the parade and everything else. So we used the technology. We used the CIC center. They were the person and the family were being watched the entire time. Whatever the person may be, criminal, whatever psychological issues they have, I'm all in favor of that. But our job is to protect everybody else. So that was that presence that it was really kind of alarming to a lot of people, and we'll continue to work with it. Today, person was released, not on the federal side, on the state side. So I was just advised that the judge is, you know, okay. So we're not going to be there, but we're obviously aware of the situation.
So, Chief, first off, thank you very much for your efforts. This is my neighborhood. I live a few blocks away. And I think that you, along with your entire team, conducted themselves very professionally. I got calls from a lot of residents. Everybody felt the same way. You mentioned about firefighters and how admired they are. Let me tell you a quick little story that I haven't told anybody. So, 2 weeks ago, I was on the way to a baptism where I'm the godfather to a friend of mine's son. And on the way there, I passed by the park on Alhambra and Blue Road. And I noticed about 10 police officers there. They had pulled over 2 gentlemen. Well, like I normally do, I stopped by and I asked the police officers how they're doing. Is everything fine? They had stopped 2 individuals because a resident had called. And these individuals were casing the neighborhood in broad daylight. It was probably 11 o'clock in the morning. In broad daylight, they were casing the neighborhood, and they had come from West Miami and I think South Miami, where they had stolen items out of vehicles that obviously were retrieved inside the car. And what they were looking for was obviously to find victims, to find individuals, cars, homes that looked like they were abandoned, people were on vacation. So we need to be very vigilant, incredibly vigilant, because these are individuals that are coming to our neighborhoods, that are looking to rob hard-working families. And the police did an incredible job.
But to your
Incredible
point,
job. They
Mayor,
got those individuals off, but this is my final point was, the police, we can't have a police officer in every single corner. So we need to be vigilant when we're in our neighborhoods, and we need to see who's walking around the neighborhood, who's driving. If you see somebody suspicious, if they're looking for an address, obviously it's a different story. Engage people, ask them, see who these people are. Because I know that a lot of opportunities where the police officers are able to solve crimes or able to apprehend someone come from resident interactions with those individuals. And I mean, I'm not a police officer. I was just, I was very happy to see
if you
that.
go to a Holiday Inn, I can make you a police officer, because apparently if anybody stays at a Holiday Inn, they can do those things. But to your point, Mayor, and no kidding aside, that was a phone call from a resident who said somebody was suspicious, and we were also able to tie them to another attempted burglary on Mendavia. And to your point, and to see something, say something, it's easy for me to say that because, quite proudly, I've sat in front of you before, and up in Obispo, we had a regular burglar alarm. We're there in 5 minutes. We catch 2 more people that tied to other burglaries in other places. So the see something, say something is it's got to be a mantra. It can't just be a saying, because we pride ourselves, and as you've heard me say in public to our taxpayers, they pay a lot of money in taxes, but that's part of it. You can't get the 3-minute emergency response time from the police department. And I think that's a lot of the partnership that we see. Yesterday, I know Chief Hanlon's not here, but he had kind of tussle with a homeless person who was obviously psychologically challenged and had some violent tendencies to him. And I mean, we're all in it. So it's that time of year, but that's the partnership that we look for every day.
And by the way, it could be anybody.
Absolutely.
Right.
Criminals don't come in one specific look. It could be anyway. These were 2 young Hispanic males that looked, pretty clean cut, and who knew that what they were up to. It was incredible. So another thing I wanted to mention, and just as we're here in the public, and it's the sunshine that affords us this opportunity. I met with some residents in Gables Estates this past week. They were talking about the car theft that occurred. Again, kudos to the police department. They addressed the issue.
When they called us, we had it back in 2 hours.
Yeah,
So
they had the car back in 2 hours. But let's talk about the issue. This is, just so you understand, look how brazen these people are. Okay, this is how brazen they are. They're going into Gables Estates that has, number one, a security guard, cameras, roving police, private police. You got to really, really not be scared of the law. And then they go into someone's property, steal their car, drive off, and remember, goes into the point we're mentioning before. Please, I just got a new electric car. My electric car, the windows, the rear windows, if you do not close, they stay open. That is a call sign for thieves, that they understand that car, they don't even need to get off their car. If they know the make and model, and if not the headlights, but the
side view mirrors.
The side view mirrors, thank you, Chief, are not properly adjusted, meaning that the car hasn't been locked, they're exposed, so they know they can get off and that car's open. Yeah, they may steal some chains, they may steal your wallet, if you leave it in there, your glasses, some documents, a laptop. It's just a heartache. Just close your car and take your keys. And in certain instances, please, if you live in one of these gated communities, even if you feel that safe because things don't happen, take your car keys with you. Don't leave your car keys inside the car. It's just more work for the police. They have their hands full already enough with a litany of different issues. Let's not make that night even harder by just leaving, by making an unforced error, like we say in football.
Right.
And we do it because we become complacent and we trust the things that we're doing here in the city. So my last point was that can we start connecting communities with our security camera system?
Yes.
And I know that you and I talked about that. I want to talk to the manager about that, have my colleagues, like places like Journey's End, Gables Estates, Coco Plum, we need to connect them to our system so that we can help the police do their job even better.
Right. Right now, we have one ALPR system that ties into ours, but it isn't our vigilant system. So we have come up with, and we were talking about this yesterday at our major staff meeting. We can offer to each of the homeowners association, this is the system that, not that we recommend, this is our system if you want to tie into us, right, to us. Now, there's an expectation to some of the homeowners groups that we're going to give them the information. That's not necessarily the case, because when it's run through our system, it is protected and confidential. Now, we will know if a stolen car or something out of the way is done. Again, the issue with that is these public streets, so they can slow them down, they can get them. But if a car turns down the road and we get an alert, we're going to notify them right away anyway. They should still call us. So
I really think the vast majority of those neighborhoods would sign up for that.
Yeah.
You know, they would want to have.
yeah,
that.
there's a cost associated with it that
Yeah.
they would have to pick up and supply that camera feed to us. And that's what, our recommend is that we all tie it into one, because I can't have.
They all predominantly have one point of ingress and egress. I mean, it's it's not that expensive for.
Well, compared to closing it and making a private street,
Right.
which is a heck of a lot
Right.
more expensive, that's the only way you can stop it going down. That's the best thing. And our ALPR system has proven, it's worth its weight in gold. So hopefully they would think about doing that.
When you say additional costs, what are we looking at?
Somewhere between the camera systems and whatever the interaction could be about $50,000 in that ballpark. I would have to get the numbers. I have my people working on it of what they would partner with whatever their camera company would be, but it's the software side on ours so that we can see it from all different angles instead of looking into another computer that has several different things. So when we first approached this, I believe it was Chief Weiner that started this program. The one company or the one HOA that still has it is a different system than ours. So that's just the one that we use for all of our cameras. Of the 200 ones we have, that's up camera wide. That Vigilant system is the one that we use. So
I don't want to go down the route of forcing these communities to adopt this technology, but I really see the value in it.
Mayor, if we
The
put together a
value in it.
package, we can give you all a package and then meet with the homeowners associations as we usually do annually and give them, once they contact us, say, listen, if you're thinking about this package, this is what we recommend is the easiest way to contact us.
Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
I'll go with you.
Okay.
Can you prepare a package, some talking points, so that I'm more versed on the technology? Obviously, we have Raimundo and yourself. We're very well versed on this. But I'd like to attend because I think it's important if we can get 5, 6, 4 of those homeowner associations on a yearly basis to engage. It just spreads our ability to really protect the neighborhoods even more. It's just about redundancy, overlap. That's what it's all about.
The evidence, without going into the case, the evidence we have about the individual who stalked is all Ring camera. It's including the cameras at our station. So that's the kind of technology that we need to put into work with people coming in and out as well.
What are you thinking?
No, are we done on this topic? Or?
Yeah.
I have another topic.
Sure. Chief, you're the best. Thank you.
And I texted it to the manager and Hermes, but on Old Cutler and 57th.
Yes, sir.
There's a very large light post with a wall that kind of comes out of it. It's one of these big square light posts with an old school light on it, whatever. Somebody hit it, and it's literally on the floor. Your guys were there. They were somebody crashed head on into it. It's laying on the floor there, but I guess that's technically a county right away.
It's kind of right away.
But it's our sign. It's a Coral Gables post.
We're looking at the repairs, and
Basically,
we're
when
also
you turn on to Old Cutler from 57th, there's a sign, a light post, and a sign that says "Welcome to Coral Gables" or something like that.
That's what it hit.
They went.
That's hard. Then that
Yeah.
would be
I can
ours.
give you the photos. Your guys know because they were there. I saw. I saw.
We'll
the folks.
we'll work on it. Make sure.
I think
it's-
Hermes was saying that they put in that they would need to probably put in an insurance claim, so that the
Right.
insurer.
But if it's in the way, we'll have to mark it
well, it's
off.
just laying down on the floor in the grass right now. But we should get it back up because it looks terrible.
So thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your hard work. On one last point, I saw that we're continuing to work on the landscaping. We have a lot of work to do on ponds. There's a lot of junction boxes that have been there for 20, 30 years that are just exposed now that we've removed those trees. I think a lot of the landscaping, for example, I sent an email yesterday to Dina. We need a little bit more lushness, for example, in front of Zuka, in front of the Bank of America. I know that we're still working on it, but I don't want to go through the Christmas month and not have, it looks kind of raggedy, especially in front of the colonnade. We need a little more work there. So if we could have our team just to look at it and see what's going on. I know the work is not done, but I meant some mulching needs to happen and certain things, or or additional scope needs to be completed.
May I just add to, it may or may not work, but when I was up in Montana, I saw they had art put on some of these, respectful art put on some of the boxes in areas where you couldn't really do anything with them, but it looked nice.
Yeah, they're actually contemplating right now doing some like foliage to try to make those all that technology that's on the corners that addresses the lights,
Right.
traffic lights. They're trying to conceal them. I met with the county. We had a discussion to see if there's been some new technology over the last 30 years in an effort to try to reduce the size of those.
Right.
And they're not transformers. What are they? What would they be called, Mr. Manager?
Those?
Traffic light management.
Yes, those traffic controllers.
Traffic
Actually,
controllers.
they're
It's horrible.
control
It's
boxes,
horrible. It's horrible, the control boxes, and they say they haven't updated the technology.
They are signalization control boxes.
I would love to see maybe something smaller we could tuck away and not be in the middle, especially with ADA issues that we have. For example, if you go in front of a Booyah, I mean, the amount of 2 garbage cans, trees, that traffic controller, there's limited space for people to walk.
We can talk to the county. I know they're trying to replace a lot of lights right now with different technology to remove instead of going with the loops that are on the pavement, they're looking at camera technology to manage better the light sequencing. So I'm not sure. So we can, as part of that, we can look into the size of it.
I'd love to know what's going on with that. That'd be very nice. Are there any other comments?
No, sir.
We good?
No.
Well, listen, the holidays are the most wonderful time of the year. And the residents, the business owners, especially our employees, and everyone who visits our city are the most wonderful part of our city. I want to say thank you for making this and every time of the year brighter for us and allowing this commission to lead, for us to listen, and for us to do everything in our power to make this city even better. We wish you and your beautiful family the happiest of holidays, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy Hanukkah. I invite you all to join us as we light the menorah on Sunday, December 18th, beginning at 4 p.m. at the Shabbat of Coral Gables. December 18th could be a wonderful day. We could see a great World Cup match. We could catch Star Wars at the cinema. We could light the menorah with our Jewish brothers and sisters. And I think that's what sums up what makes Coral Gables special. So I want to wish everybody a fantastic new year. I can't say thank you enough to our executive team, to all my colleagues, to everyone in this room, to everyone who joined us today. I love all of you. God bless and have a wonderful year. Thank you very much.